the ball rolling once Chris Kavanagh in his orange shirt blows his whistle, which he does now, and a huge cheer inside the Tottenham stadium as Newcastle go back into central defence. And it does look as though it's Richarlison who's furthest forward, but here's Udogie now down the left-hand side. Udogie plays it infield to the blonde-haired Richarlison. Now Kulusevski, who's actually on the left-hand side to begin with. Udogie then receives it from him. Tottenham putting immediate pressure on this Newcastle back line. Square it goes over to the right-hand side to Sarr. Now to the right-hand side for Tottenham. Johnson with the cross with his left foot, but that's blocked at the near post and it's out for a throw to Spurs on the far side.
Great pace to the start there from this Tottenham side. As soon as they get the ball, they want to go forward. That's all they do. They look to go forward with every pass when they can.
And Newcastle breaking forward for the first time, but Bruno Guimaraes has overhit that pass forward by a distance. And Udogie, it won't roll out of play though, so Udogie's got to come back into his left-back area and knock it across the 6-yard box to Vicario, the goalkeeper, who takes a touch and then clears it away. Talked about who would play where up front for Tottenham. It looks like a front four at the moment as Newcastle played along the edge of the box, Gordon, but couldn't find Isak in the middle. And now here is Tottenham, Kulusevski, very much playing on sort of a left-sided forward position. Son out on the left flank, and then you've got Richarlison central and Johnson on the right-hand side, Pat.
Yeah, typical of the man he could beat in the last game. Was it 3-0?
West Ham,
West
2-1.
Ham, 2-1, sorry, 2-1 in the last game. So what do? Go on the front foot.
Yep, 3 consecutive home defeats. He doesn't care about that. And here comes Kulusevski carrying the ball through the middle, gives it to the right-hand side. Sarr, back to Kulusevski on the edge of the box. Now Sarr again, Basuma's available in the middle, 30 yards from goal, but Sarr is going on a run of his own right across the field from right to left, then gives it to Udogie. Sarr gets it back. He'll be feeling good, I'm sure, to be back in the team, returned as a substitute against West Ham. Son now on the left-hand side, couldn't find the pass to Kulusevski, and then Trippier is shoved over, and it's a free kick to Newcastle in their right-back area. Very
noticeable what Spurs are doing, but they get a lot of the ball, they get good possession. Sometimes a bit hesitant putting it in the middle, but they've got Richarlison there that they can go and aim it for. But Johnson, all the players, Johnson in particular, getting in the box as soon as they possibly can when they come down to see the left-hand side.
Let's get an update on the T20 that's taking place in Mumbai. Henry Moran's monitoring it.
Yes, the third and final T20. England 2-0 up in the series. India on course for victory at this stage. 12 runs needed off 13 balls. They're 115 for 4, India.
Latest scores in the Champions Cup matches that are currently underway: La Rochelle 6, Leinster 10. And on Sports Extra, that's your choice of listening, simulcast with BBC Radio Leicester, it is currently Leicester 20, the Stormers 17. And also the Newcastle Falcons are playing in the Challenge Cup. Newcastle 12, Montpellier 17, the latest score in what was a 3:15 kickoff as well. But this is Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0, and Spurs in possession inside their own half. The ball back with Christian Romero, who scored an excellent header on Thursday night in what turned out to be the defeat against West Ham as he returned from suspension after his latest sending off. Richarlison on the edge of the box, turns and shoots into Bruno Guimaraes, and then he ends up in a heap on the edge of the box with Cher, but he's back up on his feet now because Tottenham are attacking. Johnson plays it up, and then it's deflected behind. It's actually the cross from the right-hand side from Pedro Porro hit Johnson and then bounced behind for a goal kick to Newcastle, and it's 0-0. And this is Pat Nevin.
Yeah, there was a great option there for Richarlison. He turns, he's about 17 yards out. He is central, give him that, but he's got 4 players around him. What he's got to his right-hand side is Johnson and Porro, who he can play it out, flick it out, and they've got a shot on goal with no one in front of him. Obviously he tries, he's been a centre forward, he tries to go for goal. Wrong option on this occasion.
That is Pat Nevin, the former Everton and Chelsea winger. It's interesting watching Everton-Chelsea earlier. Scotland international. Pat's new book is out just in time for Christmas. Author, wit, raconteur. As Tottenham play forward. Son gets a touch. Kulusevski's onto this. A little pass forward to Richarlison. The angle's tight, and he shoots over the angle of post and bar with Cher going with him.
You know what? He's not for passing it today, is he, Richarlison? Again, Johnson, we know about Johnson's pace. He's flying in at the back post there. It's not a great angle, but he smashed it. He says he got a deflection. I didn't see it, but the referee did, and they've got a corner kick. But give him his due, Richarlison. Getting the ball in the dangerous areas now.
Must have just, it did. That was a good spot. It flicked Cher as he shot goalwards, and that took it up and over the angle of post and bar. That might have been on target had Cher not got that touch. So it is a Tottenham corner from the left-hand side. Tottenham putting the pressure on. In it comes. Dubravka stayed on his line. Half-headed away, still in the box. And it's cleared away, scrambled away by Newcastle on the edge of the 6-yard area. That could have gone anywhere.
Well, I feel sorry for Newcastle fans getting stuck today, but I feel sorry for them having to watch or listen to this because they can't get a kick.
Here they come again. Richarlison in the middle, but that's headed away by Lascelles. Comes out to the edge of the box. Shot miss-hit by Davis, Ben Davis. And Newcastle get it away to the halfway line. Well, this is exactly what the Tottenham fans want to see here. After losing the last 3 matches here, Tottenham, the 4-1 defeat against Chelsea, 2-1 to Aston Villa, 2-1 to West Ham. Tottenham really going for it. The ball played into Son, but Dubravka diving forward on the edge of the 6-yard box, and the Newcastle goalkeeper was able to dive down and get to the ball ahead of Son. So still 0-0, but a great start from Tottenham, and more from Henry Moran on the T20.
England have got another wicket, but India only needs 7 from 10 deliveries. Sophie Eccleston is bowling. England's trump card. They need more wickets. 7 needed from 10.
It's been an eventful day already in the Premier League. I hope you've been listening. There have been some really interesting things going on. And here now is Joe Linton for Newcastle inside the penalty area. Cuts back, right foot to the edge of the area. Guimaraes for the shot, and it flashes over the top of the crossbar. Could chance that for Newcastle from what, 21, 22 yards out?
Yeah, 20, as you say, roughly about that. But it's come to an angle, he has to cut across it, and a little bit of a swerve to the outside of his boot. It's one of those ones, if they go in, it's one of the best goals you have seen in years. But the skill needed to put it in that top corner. He wasn't far away, was he?
That was closer than it looked from up here. High above the 2 managers who are pacing around down there. Ange Postecoglou in his long black sort of thigh-length overcoat, and Eddie Howe just to his left in his black tracksuit. There was talk in the build-up to this game about how Eddie Howe turned down the possibility of going to Celtic, which of course then led to Ange Postecoglou taking that job, which then led to him standing down there on the touchline here, not far away from Eddie Howe.
Absolutely the case. In Scotland, Postecoglou was seen as the poor replacement because Howe was an absolute stick-on to get the job, everyone thought up there. After a while they thought they'd, as they say in the business, won a watch by getting Ange.
And now he's all the rage, Pat. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0, and that was one of the developments earlier. Celtic losing at Kilmarnock, so that is now a 5-point lead for Rangers. And as you said to me earlier, the Celtic-Rangers match coming up on December the 30th.
Looking forward to it already. Also the Kilmarnock, that's Rangers have lost there once and Celtic have lost twice at Kilmarnock this season.
Another one of Pat's old clubs. Here is Joe Linton finding a bit of space, plays it forward to Gordon, who might have been offside. However, play continues. Gordon into the box now, using his pace. Across it comes, and Isak couldn't put it in the middle.
I don't think it was offside. I really don't think it was offside. I think that's just an awful miss by Isak. Was it a touch in front of him? The way he's holding his head there, I don't think it is. By the way, Gordon's not offside because he was in his own half.
There we are then.
The ball was played across here. Isak was coming to the end of it.
Oh, he did. Ben Davis
just gets a tiny touch to put him off, doesn't he?
Crucial, absolute, excellent from Davis, because he was sliding back across into his own 6-yard box. He could easily have deflected that into his own net, but he got a tiny touch, and then Isak couldn't react.
By the way, this is the game we wanted. We expected, and it's exactly the game we wanted already.
All of that talk about who's not available, who's not going to be able to play in this game. Actually, those who we have got on the field are putting on a show, and it's Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0, and it's all over in Mumbai, isn't it, Henry?
It is. India have won the 3rd and final T20 by 5 wickets, getting home with an over to spare. England win the series 2-1, and the test match between the two sides begins on Thursday.
And in that Champions Cup match that is on Sports Extra now, it is Leicester 20, Stormers 20. Tottenham with the ball. Here's Romero. Little pass infield towards Bissouma with his white socks pulled right up over his knees. Bissouma. Then back to Romero. A couple of touches from him. I think he'll go all the way back to the goalkeeper, which he does. Guglielmo Vicario. Touch on his right foot to clear it out towards the right-hand side, where it's chested down, then volleyed forward by Pedro Porro, but he's put far too much on that. And the ball is in the left full-back area with Dubravka, who took an uncertain couple of touches with Richarlison not far away, and as a result he's just hit the ball away downfield and given possession back to Tottenham. So 10 minutes played, 0-0, but a nice flow to the game.
There is, and Newcastle come into it a little bit. They've had 2 really decent chances on the break, but just that moment with Dubravka there, you could actually see his mind working from up here. He didn't want the ball there. Nice ball infield from Son on the left wing to Kulusevski. Kulusevski playing in this sort of left central position. Now Udogie with the cross, that comes off Trippier, and back off Udogie, I think.
And back onto the Tottenham man and through for a goal kick, uncontested. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. A couple of highly uncharacteristic mistakes by Kieran Trippier at Everton on Thursday night when they won there, before they won against Chelsea today. Kieran Trippier, the former Tottenham man, played in the Champions League final for Tottenham, remember, Kieran Trippier, before he went off to Atletico Madrid. That match was 0-0 in the 79th minute. Newcastle ended up losing 3-0 at Goodison, their heaviest defeat of the season so far. Another away defeat. They've won only once away from home in the Premier League this season, albeit an 8-0 win at Sheffield United. But they have had other notable performances away from home, not least in the League Cup, winning at Old Trafford against Manchester United, and as well in Paris in the Parc des Princes, when they were so close to the win that would have made life a lot easier for them in the Champions League than it currently is.
They weren't bad in Milan either. They're getting the 0-0 over there. Had to fight and battle for that, but you're right, totally different looking team home and away.
Kulusevski, as Cher was clearing the ball, Kulusevski slid in on him, and Kulusevski is calling for treatment, and he is sort of feeling his hip or his groin.
Cher, is it?
Cher, yeah. It is. And whether it's the way that Kulusevski fell on him, which I think it might be, when he cleared it away. They don't want to lose Cher. They've already lost Botman, although Lascelles has stepped in and done a really, really impressive job, I must say. But he's back on his feet and he doesn't need treatment so far.
I'm guessing he'll be fine. The reason being, there was no twist to that. He's fallen on the small of his back, and it's one of those ones that's going to be a bruise and an ache, but there's no twist there. He should be okay. 12
minutes played, Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Yeah, seems to be moving okay, Fabian Cher. They'll need him, they'll need all hands on deck, all who they can get for Milan on Wednesday night. We'll have commentary on that. Newcastle have to win to stand a chance of staying in the Champions League. Ball cleared away by Lascelles over the halfway line, headed forward by Romero. And Udogie wins it against young Miley, the 17-year-old who we were talking about on 5 Live before the game. Udogie. Now little ball towards Bissouma. Newcastle have got 2 men on him, Almiron and Miley with the press, but Tottenham have played around that. And then Udogie, I think, was clipped there by Bruno Guimaraes. Even though he tried to keep his feet, eventually just had to go down, and it's brought back for the free kick, although the Tottenham fans are feeling that referee Kavanagh should have played advantage.
Dare I say it, if you're a Crystal Palace player, that's a yellow card. Because that was ridiculous yesterday, the yellow card that were given out.
Well, here is Joe Linton turning, facing the play, but little challenge from Sarr, which referee Kavanagh, who was right there 2 or 3 yards away, said caught the ankle of Joe Linton, who's on the ground, and slaps the playing surface actually in frustration. But it's a free kick to Newcastle in the centre circle, still goalless.
It's been quite hard for Newcastle to get really any considered possession in the midfield there, but they do look very dangerous in the break, and they've had 2 or 3 decent breaks. But the control of the play so far has been generally Spurs. But then that's happened with Spurs before, and they've not been able to hold on and win the game, even here.
If you're a Palace fan, you might want to talk about what Pat was referring to there, what Roy Hodgson said yesterday after the match. On 6:06 later, Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton will be on the airwaves. I'll let you know when the lines are open. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. Newcastle with the free kick then, which Trippier plays out to the left-hand side to Gordon. Gordon up against Pedro Porro, who does well actually, went in with a challenge, came out with the ball against the informed Gordon, and the Tottenham right back plays it forward, and it's run all the way to Richarlison, and that's a lovely ball from Richarlison, cross-field to Son. Son now up to the edge of the area, defenders are there, and actually one of them has got a crucial touch on that, just to knock it away. And although Son's won it back, but I think a flailing arm has caught the defender, it has. And even though Richarlison puts the ball in the net, in the middle, I think it was just the way he went in for the challenge, arms were whirling, caught Almiron, who went down holding his face, and the referee's given it as the Newcastle free kick.
Yeah, it was, Almiron did really well to get back there. We're going to see a replay of it there. Son comes in quick. Do you know what? I think he's nudged him a little bit in the neck, and Almiron's gone down as if he's been hit by a baseball bat. Honestly, it is up there with my least favourite things in the game. People who, although touched in the neck, you weren't hit in the face with a baseball bat, mate. Do us a favour.
No, that was a little bit like, I mean, it wasn't as bad as Rivaldo, wasn't it, at the World Cup in South Korea?
The difference is that we remember that happened.
Well, that hit him on the thigh, didn't it? Do you remember the ball it hit him on the thigh and he went down with his hands on his face?
Honestly, if you had one rule to change in the game, the entirety of the game, people will shout about VAR. I shout about that.
Oh, lovely from Johnson, who's flicked the ball over Livramento, and Johnson now with a cross to the back post, but Trippier was there for Newcastle to head it across the box. However, Porro has got it back for Tottenham. If Johnson had been able to pick out, well, there were 3 Spurs players in the penalty area, he picked out brilliantly Kieran Trippier of Newcastle. However, here he is again, the former Forest man, Johnson on the right-hand side, cross deflected up and onto the roof of the net, so that'll be a Tottenham corner.
I mean, they do attack at such pace, and they get the ball in there really, really quickly. Now they're finding good spaces. Just the great defending actually from Newcastle. I mean, it's all last-ditch stuff, but they're managing to get in there. But you can hear in the background what these Spurs fans think about it. They love this style of play.
5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. Tottenham on top, but it's still 0-0. So corner from the right for Ange Postecoglou's side. Towards the penalty spot it comes. Romero with a header, and it's cleared away. There was a man on the post who was able to clear it away. It was Almiron. Might have been going wide, might have been going in.
I think it was going in. I think Almiron's done really, really well there. And oddly enough, he's cleared it with his left foot when it's a simple right foot clearance. He's put his body in this weird position. I'll look at it here.
Oh, yeah,
he takes his left foot across to clear it, and it's a simple right foot clearance. Could have skied anywhere there, but it was going in, so another chance for Spurs.
Yeah, it wasn't like the header. Did you see the header that he scored the other night against West Ham?
Yes.
Cracking header. It was absolutely brilliant. But this was different. This was more absolutely power with the head, but Almiron cleared, so it's still 0-0. And now Porro playing it forward, but Cher is there, and it is cleared out of play for a throw on the halfway line.
Do you know, we just look at that it was saved on the line. How many goals have you seen? Obviously there's no players on the post these days. The big thing about corners, not players on the post anymore. But a lot of teams are doing exactly what Newcastle did there. So the guy at the front, as on the 6-yard line, when the ball's over the top of him, you go back, you're the post man.
Davis lifts the ball forward to Kulusevski in the box. Kulusevski, Lascelles very close with him and does well actually, got support from Trippier to block that latest Tottenham attack. Does feel that here's Son just outside the area, gives it square towards Bissouma. It has the feel that a Tottenham breakthrough might not be too far away, but let's see how Newcastle deal with it. Bissouma back behind Udogie, and the Italian international as he is now turns, plays the ball to the left hand side. Davis, there's Son with his heels almost on the white line. Son playing it into Kulusevski, still wearing the mask, and now Bissouma quickly closed down by young Miley, so Tottenham have to go back to Davis on the halfway line. Davis then picks out Son again on the left wing. Son curls a lovely ball in. Oh, Richarlison sliding in, couldn't get a touch. Dubravka had gambled there in the middle. He caught it as it bounced into his midriff, and he could have been really embarrassed there if Richarlison had got a touch.
Do you know what? You've nailed that. That is a perfect description of it, because you're thinking to yourself, you're absolutely right. He doesn't think Richarlison's going to get there. Now, he'll say to you, it's okay, I'd worked it all out. I knew he was never going to get there. But it was only inches. Richarlison, he's getting into great positions, Richarlison. He's been really quite unlucky.
However, Martin Dubravka, the Slovakian international goalkeeper, lots of experience, 34 years old, coming into the team. Thursday was his first Premier League start of the season. because of that really unfortunate injury to Nick Pope. But all being well, Martin Dubravka will be at the Euros next summer playing for his national team, and he would probably tell you, yep, I judged that absolutely perfect.
To be honest, lots of people asked me about him before the game, obviously, and I think he's a fabulous goalkeeper. I really think he's a very, very special one. And
former player of the year for Newcastle.
Exactly, and I don't think he's a second-rate choice. He's somebody you can come in and feel confident about, and every Newcastle fan's thinking he's going to have a howler now because I've said that.
Guimarães is shoved over by Kulusevski. So Martin Dubravka will be at the Euros. Pat Nevin will be at the Euros as well for covering the Scotland matches. 5 Live, the place to listen to that next summer, when memories of dark December nights like this will be a long way away. But 5 Live for all of the commentaries next summer. And what a great group Scotland have got, with Switzerland, so they'll be up against Fabian Schär. Hungary, so they'll be up against Szoboszlai. So Andy Robertson, hopefully fit, will be up against his Liverpool teammate. And of course the little matter of the hosts, Germany, Pat.
Yeah, and they've got 1 or 2 good players, but not playing brilliantly as a national team at the moment.
So frustration that Newcastle were taking time to take the free kick. Dubravka eventually did take it, hence the whistles into the opposing half, but Tottenham have got it back and are coming forward. Richarlison playing it square to Sarr. Now Johnson, early ball across from Johnson, but that was beyond. Richarlison in the middle, couldn't get the touch all the way through, and he's already cutting a little bit of a frustrated figure, Richarlison. He's had 2-3 near things now.
Right, so how many times has the words Harry and Kane come across your mind in this game so far? With the amount of times balls been put across the box there, where the very, very best strikers are there. They're just there. Whereas the others, they kind of get in the right positions. But, if you've got a finisher there, wow, Spurs could be out of sight already.
You could hear the reaction there from the crowd again. They're getting on to, they've spotted the fact that Dubravka is delaying the restarts. So that's a clear signal from the Tottenham fans to referee Kavanagh. And I suspect next time, if he doesn't hurry himself up, Dubravka will be into the referee's book. Tottenham in possession on the halfway line. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0. 5 Live and the World Service live from North London. And here's Udogie, forward of the centre circle, the left back, running away to the edge of the box, slipping the ball across straight into the path of Schär, who calmly passed it forward for Newcastle. And now Almiron, the Paraguayan, running it over the halfway line, but good work from Bissouma, who was just nudged over, and Bruno Guimarães' Joe Linton is still down, sitting on his bottom on the far side of the pitch. So we'll have a little interruption in play while the referee goes across to see how he is. He's holding his right shin.
They won't own up to it just now. I mean, it was got a little bit of a dunt on it. I don't think there was any twist or anything. But I think the players won't own up to it, but I think they'll enjoy a wee bit of rest, because the pace of play this game has been extraordinary. If you look at the entirety of it, though, Spurs have been the better side. They've had most of the play in the midfield. They look very, very dangerous in attack, and it's just that one simple thing left, to put the ball in the net and get somebody who's in the right place at the right time at the end of it.
Yeah, so what about Richarlison then, Pat? There's a bit of talk going around that, he might not be long for Tottenham, but they signed him for 50-60 million pounds, something like that. He's got 2 goals this season. This, as I say, is his first start since October. He's had a groin operation, so there have been injury issues, but I'm afraid the fact is 2 Premier League goals in 39 appearances for Tottenham.
Yeah, and you were looking at who's playing centre forward just now. Had those balls from the right come in and it been even Son in the middle, you'd probably be a wee bit more confident at the moment than Son putting them away than Richarlison. Look, he's not a bad player. His work rate's been great. He's getting into good positions here. As you say, he's not finishing them at the moment.
Excellent work from the teenager Miley, playing it infield. Almiron might have been fouled there by Romero. He was, as he played the ball back into his own half, but Romero just, a little over physical there. And as we know, he is very prone to picking up a card or 2.
It's just a big part of his game. I don't think he can play any other way. That's just the way he does it. I was trying to figure out how he managed to. Oh yeah, he was actually done in the back. Actually, that was quite a sore one. Almiron got this time. It's questioning him again, because he went down too easily the first time, but on that occasion he got a hefty one.
We've got a great view here down on the classic Tottenham high defensive line. Newcastle with a free kick. Trippier's just looking to drop it over the top, which he does to Lascelles, who got a touch, then couldn't keep it in, and runs off the pitch and down and up against the advertising hoardings, and actually is banged into them. And he was a doubt with a dead leg, Jamal Lascelles, but he's okay just running back onto the field. And Tottenham, Vicario chipping it out over the top of Almiron like Karol Poborski to Ben Davis.
I'm going to tell you afterwards why that offends me, what you just said there.
Okay, looking forward to that already. Stay tuned, listeners. Sarr with a ball towards the edge of the area. Trippier heads that away, and it comes down for Pedro Porro to take it up again, gives it back to Romero. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0, 25 minutes played here, and now Kulusevski through the middle, little ball to his right to Johnson. Across it comes centrally, Udogie in that midfield position, really. The fashionable midfield position for the full-back. Son now, great work, and it's in! Turned into the net, in the middle by Udogie! He's got his first Tottenham goal, set up brilliantly by Son, and he was there, the left-back, in the 6-yard box to side-foot it in, and Tottenham make the breakthrough. They've been the better team, and it's Tottenham 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, I mean, you knew what he was going to do, Son, on the left-hand side there. The step over. It's one of those tricks where everybody knows he's going to do it, and there's nothing you can do to stop it, because if you don't buy it, he will run the other way. So he's got to step over his right foot, goes to the byline, needs only half a yard, zips it in, and I'm not going to say the last person you expect in there, but Udogie, he's your left full-back, and he's a centre-forward position at the near post, and he nails it into the corner. I can't miss it from 3 yards, and you're absolutely right. That's well deserved by Spurs, and they've done it at a pace and at a style that these fans have loved since the start of the season.
Lovely stuff from Tottenham. I mean, Udogie almost should get an assist as well as the goal for that. He supplied the pass to Son. Son beat Trippier to the byline, and then really tidy finish from Udogie.
There is one question to be asked though. Dubravka sticks his foot out at that instead of diving out, which, goalkeepers need to make a decision whether they dive out or stick their foot out. He stuck his foot out to try and get it near post and didn't get it.
Tottenham winning 1-0, and here they come again. Ball cleared away by Lascelles. Comes out, Joe Linton is dispossessed. Bissouma into the area on the right-hand side. Guimaraes has gone with him. Bissouma's carrying it out towards the corner flag. There are 2 Newcastle men there, so Newcastle trailing away from home again. Bruno Guimaraes now to Anthony Gordon, and Bruno Guimaraes has gone down there after a challenge, I think from Johnson. Might have just, or was it Richarlison? And that was after the ball had gone. 2 Brazilians together there, Richarlison, international squad mates. But Bruno Guimaraes hasn't made anything of it.
To be fair, the referee's actually been quite good today. He could have easily went to his pocket a few times, and he hasn't done it. He's allowed it to flow.
And it is Newcastle who are flowing now. 1-0 down. Miley with a cross from the right-hand side. It's gone all the way to Gordon, and Gordon keys up Joe Linton. Right foot shot comes off Bissouma, which deflected it wide and high and behind. Low fives for Bissouma for blocking the shot. Corner Newcastle there first.
I tell you what, Joe Linton's a bit gutted about that. The ball's laid back to him. It's perfect for him to run onto, but he can't because the referee's in front of him. So he has to do a little skip to the side, and he isn't allowed to then get the power that he wanted. Just takes a half a second off him. That was enough for the blocks to get in.
Another something you were going to bring up, and there's now a point I need to make as well, but Newcastle have got this corner from the left-hand side. That is top of the bill right now, right below the cockerel. In it comes for Newcastle. Oh, Vicario went for that very unconvincingly, but I think that was because he was being pulled back, and the referee spotted it and given it as a free kick to Tottenham. What I was going to say, Pat, is this is now alarm bell time for Tottenham, isn't it? This 5-match run without a win, before which they were top of the Premier League. 5-match run, what have they done in every match?
Going 1-0 up.
They have, and that's what they've got now. And what were you going to say?
Mine was much more self-indulgent, to be fair.
It's not like it.
You talked about Poborski,
yes.
And you're talking about the scoop. Well, somebody was doing it for 10 years before he did.
Who was that?
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
Who was
I
that?
must have scored about a dozen in my career, exactly the same as that, but it's called a Poborski.
Right, I'm going to call it a Pat Nevin from now on. Tottenham 0, Newcastle 0, as Tottenham go back into their own half. So Destiny Udogie, a great day for the great name. Here's Kulusevski carrying the ball and giving it to the right-hand side to Johnson, who's running at the Newcastle defence, and Johnson across, and Sarr with a chance, edge of the 6-yard box. Trippier came across, probably did just enough there to make sure that Sarr couldn't get a clean shot on that, and he hit it a wide of goal, across and wide of the far post.
See if you get a chance to look at where Sarr comes from here, it's absolutely brilliant. He's come from his own half, he's flown forward, and that's where he gets a chance. No one can get within 10 yards of him, and he just can't get a good contact on it. He gets a little bit of contact, but it's not clean enough. What a goal that would have been had they put in the end. Watching Sarr and Bissouma play together, they must be horrific to play against.
Yeah, I think when one or other of them has not been available, I was here for the match early in the season where they beat Manchester United, and those two were excellent.
I think we were both together for that one. Yeah,
absolutely right.
I mean, oddly, Hojbjerg, we know what a player he is. I mean, very, very good player. He's been great for Spurs.
He'll be playing against England in the summer, I would expect, all being well.
But even you can understand why he will not get in between those two players.
Tottenham 1, Newcastle 0. Destiny Udogie's first senior competitive goal for Tottenham Hotspur. But Newcastle with Trippier towards the edge of the box, where Bruno Guimaraes is dispossessed by Richarlison. Great work from Richarlison defensively, now bringing it forward. Son's overrun it, and it's out of play, and it's a throw into Newcastle 15 yards inside their own half.
He was desperate to get a clear run there. He just had a little bit of a stumble there. I mean, it was good play. You knew that Lascelles was going to get over, but you wanted to see what would happen with the foot race. Just watching Lascelles there, still limping slightly from a previous injury. I think Son knew that, but he just stumbled himself before he could get that foot race going.
So Newcastle with the ball at the back. Destiny Udogie did score goals last season when he was on loan back at his former club Udinese. Got 3 goals, but now very much Tottenham's left back. And he really is one of the players, isn't he, who epitomises the Ange Postecoglou style.
Yeah, when Postecoglou does again get back to his time at Celtic, I mean, both of the full-backs, either side, would just spend their whole time flying out that inside forwards line. And he must have looked through that, this team when he got a hold of him, because there's not many players that he's brought in himself, and thought, he's perfect, he's nailed for me. And he's, when a player's told you my favourite type of player to play in that position, he grows.
Tottenham 1, Newcastle 0. Long ball forward from Trippier. This is for Isak to chase. With Ben Davies up ahead of him, heads it away. And Davies gets it back from his left back, Udogie. Ben Davies is actually short of options there, so turns it back to Vicario, who clears to Udogie, who chests it down. He looks absolutely brimful of confidence now, Udogie, after getting on the score sheet, maybe too confident. He's lost possession. Bruno Guimaraes swirls the ball across, but Romero was underneath that. He was trying to find Gordon on the far side of the penalty area, but just didn't get enough of a bend on the pass. And so Tottenham have got it back inside their own territory. That's given away to Isak. Now square towards Gordon. Gordon to Almiron, who shoots low, and it's saved by Vicario down to his right. Big chance Newcastle, not taken. Careless Tottenham giving it away.
They worked it very, very well, Newcastle. When you get the little odd opportunity, make sure you end up with a shot. Well done, Anthony Gordon, putting Almiron in there. He needs to give it a little bit more colour. But Porro's mistake there, lots of options on, didn't pick any of them.
I was wondering whether it was Johnson or Porro who gave that away, Pat. Thank you. Here's Son on the edge of the area, little ball in. Richarlison back to Son. No, not quite. Trippier went to ground and did just enough, but the offside flag actually was up. So it is a free kick to Newcastle inside their own box. So 1-0 it is to Tottenham. Earlier, Everton good 2-0 winners against Chelsea. Everton now 13 points, so that is with the -10. Fulham scoring 5 again for the second time in 4 days. Fulham 5, West Ham 0, and Luton 1, Manchester City 2, after Luton took the lead in that match. But if you've been out and you've not heard, and if Nathan Jones is listening in his car, don't listen, Nathan. So I'm going to mention the fact that Erling Haaland ruled out of that match, and ruled out with a foot injury, a bone stress reaction, Pep Guardiola said before the match. So we might hear more on that. Indeed, we will hear from Pep Guardiola at half-time in this match, so more on Haaland and how long he might be out for. And as we mentioned, Celtic losing at Kilmarnock The latest in the Leicester match in the Champions Cup, the Rugby Union. Leicester now 30, Stormers 26. Not too long to go in that match. And Newcastle with the ball on the right-hand side, but Almiron in an offside position, so free kick to Tottenham. And Newcastle in the Rugby Union Challenge Cup have lost. Newcastle Falcons 19, Montpellier 24. Pat Nevin.
One of the problems you've got for Newcastle, you need your very best players to be playing well. Trippier really hasn't got forward, has he? He's had too much to be concerned about on this left-hand side with Son, and that's another reason why Son's playing on the left-hand side. Remember, Trippier, he creates as many as anybody else. Now, his creative numbers are fantastic. He's not got over the halfway line yet in this game, so that's not helping. The other one is Isak. You've hardly mentioned his name today, have you? I see you look at the paper as if to say, is he playing?
Yeah, I was just thinking I needed to make a note of that chance that Davis denied him.
Yeah. So he's very, very little involvement, and the same in the game during the week as well, it has to be said.
Yeah, Wilson on the bench, Callum Wilson coming back. Here's Udogie, does well into the penalty area, but it bounces away from him, and Lascelles just calmly passes it out for a throw-in on the left-hand side, level with the edge of the penalty area. Son takes it. Tottenham trying to find a second goal before half-time. It's been a brilliant response really from Tottenham, the 5-match unbeaten run. They've dropped away from the very top of the table. They've lost their last 3 home matches. If you walked into the stadium today and you watched them play, you would not think that confidence was any sort of issue with Tottenham Hotspur.
With the players, or indeed the fans, because they understand it, they're getting the message from Ange Postecoglou. They knew that there was going to be ups and downs during this. And to be fair, they've gone on this run, but have they played badly? I don't think so.
Believe it or not, they've got 2 points less than this point last season when Antonio Conte was the manager. As Joe Linton dives in on Johnson, it was just outside of the penalty area. Johnson went down. I think he got the ball though, Joe Linton. No free kick given by referee Kavanagh. Tottenham still with it. Flicked infield by Pedro Porro. Ooh, they enjoyed that, didn't they, the Tottenham fans? He got a right
nice little flick
for
back.
that.
A fullback's allowed to do that sort of stuff.
Well, Udogie, Pedro Porro, as Bruno Guimaraes cuts the ball out centre field, and then Richarlison slides in on Bruno Guimaraes to win the ball. Great hunger from Richarlison. Ball from deep from Tottenham, from Porro, reaches Son up against Trippier again. Trippier backpedaling into the penalty area. Son's past him. Son cuts it back. Richarlison! 2-0 Tottenham. Brilliant Son. Beat Trippier all ends up, and there is his 3rd Premier League goal for Tottenham for Richarlison. Back in the team. Had chances today, but when it came there in the 6-yard box, he found the net, and it's Tottenham 2, Newcastle 0.
So many of the players are so delighted for Richarlison there. He actually won the ball back earlier in the move with a sliding tackle in the middle of the park. I think it was against Joe Linton, and then he went sprinting forward. The ball goes to Son, and the similarities with the first goal from here on in are scary. It's just that little step over with his right foot, going to the left-hand side, cuts it back. This time no Udogie, it's Richarlison, and it's 2-0. And now we know why Son has been asked to play in the left wing.
Well, Kieran Trippier, usually so reliable. And listen, I don't think he's done anything wrong. He's just been beaten by the better man twice.
He has done, and you know, that difficult midweek game they had, it was very difficult for him. In fact, one of the weakest games we've seen, and he'll accept it himself. However, on this occasion, if you don't fall for that dummy with the right foot, so step over the right foot, then take the ball left. It's not a complicated trick, but he is brilliant at it, Son. And it's one of those ones that if you don't fall for it, he'll just go to your right anyway. Honestly, it's a joy to watch when he's full floor, Son. Unless, of course, you happen to be supporting Newcastle. Yeah,
so Newcastle struggling away from St James's Park again. They've not won a point in the Premier League away from home since October, when they drew 2-2 at Wolves. But there are two sides, two stories really in that goal that Tottenham have just scored. Pat's just been talking there about Son, but as you mentioned, Richarlison. And here he is now, Richarlison, over on the right-hand side to Kulusevski. Kulusevski a step over, just outside the D, gives it to Son. It's Son against Trippier again. This time he comes infield. Son then rolls it across the edge of the box, and then the shot from Johnson, that's blocked by Joe Linton, and it's cleared away by Livramento off the Tottenham man for a throw into Newcastle in their own left back area.
You were waiting for the step over, weren't you? We came out to Son on the left hand side, but then again so was the entire Newcastle defence, and you can see it now. Almiron is going back to try and help Trippier as much as they possibly can.
But the other side to the story of that goal, the way Richarlison, I think it was Bruno Guimaraes he won it back from. And what a brilliant challenge it was from Richarlison. I think I said at the time, showing real hunger there.
Yeah, the sliding tackle, it wasn't a forwards tackle, but he's got himself back in there, slid in, but it was the reaction after that. It's right just about on the halfway line, maybe 5 yards inside the Newcastle arc, slid in, won the ball, but no, just stood, got up and pinned his ears back and flew in towards the box. And that's what created the space for Son, because the defenders moved close towards him, and because of that, Son was able to get the ball on the far left. So, well done Richarlison. In every part of that goal, he had some involvement, even when he wasn't in the ball.
BBC Radio live here at the Tottenham Stadium, a vibrant Tottenham Stadium. 5 minutes to go to half-time. The home side leading by 2-0. And Spurs coming forward again, looking for another one. High ball in from the right-hand side. Trippier was underneath that from the cross from Pedro Porro. It's run back by Sarr. And now Johnson shoots right across the face of goal and just beyond the foot of the far post.
And Newcastle had stopped. They were looking for a free kick. I don't think it was a free kick. The same as a high. In fact, Guimaraes is having a word with the referee just now. The ball was bouncing. It was pretty high, but I don't think there was any foot to particularly up. He just got there right in front. I think I'm sure it was Sarr who got it. Zipped across the goal, and no, that's not a free kick, no way in the world there. I don't think, in fact, across the goal, it hit the post and went past.
So close. So the shot from the angle on the right side of the penalty area could be 3-0. It is 2-0. There have been a couple of big wins in the matches between these sides in recent seasons, and then Cher loses out. Kulusevski's in, but the bouncing shot mishit it really down into the ground, and it bounced up for Dubravka to go down to his left to save.
Well, I know why you say that phrase. There have been some big wins, because the way this game's going just now, it looks like there's lots more goals involved in it, and it look most likely to come from Spurs, but they are capable of coming from Newcastle as well, because Spurs, they do tire at the end of games. They do not switch off. Half a chance now.
Bruno Guimaraes, his ball over the top to Isak. In slides Romero, cut back nicely from Isak, and eventually an offside flag comes.
He's given it against Isak in the initial pass. It was pretty close, that one.
I thought he was onside.
Yeah, but I thought it was very, very tight, but that was from that initial pass against Isak. I looked down at the assistant, didn't put his flag up, obviously. But I'd like to see that again.
Yeah. 2-0 Tottenham lead. Goals from Destiny Udogie and Richarlison, which strangely is an unlikely double.
It is rather.
And as I was saying, Pat, these two big wins. Remember last season, Newcastle won 6-1 at St James's Park against Tottenham, and that was the last match when Christian Stellini was in charge for that unlamented brief period when he was manager of Tottenham after his former colleague Antonio Conte. So that was the end of him. And before that, if you remember, Newcastle lost 5-1 here. And here's Son carrying the ball forward to the edge of the area, gives it to his left to Kulusevski, shoots, it's deflected right across the 6-yard box and wide of the far post. And Richarlison threw himself in there headlong and couldn't get a touch on it, and ended up flat on his face, half of him in and half of him out of the goal.
To be fair, it's one of those pieces of play you cannot watch without grinning at. It's so exciting. There's so many players flying forward, the ball's bobbling everywhere. Richarlison throws himself to it, and they're actually going to correctly get a corner kick out of it. Richarlison was not at fault. The deflection took it away from him. Once again, these Spurs fans are loving this.
Yeah. Here's the corner, out swinger, Richarlison heads it goalwards, but more or less straight at Dubravka, who was able to gather it into his chest. The Richarlison diving effort had something of the social media meme about it, didn't it? Tottenham 2, Newcastle 0. So more reaction to the earlier games coming at half-time. The wins for Everton, big win for Fulham, win for Manchester City from a goal down at Luton, defeat for Celtic. We've already heard from Brendan Rodgers, already heard from Marco Silva. There is commentary right now on the Leicester Stormers match, where Leicester now have a bigger lead, 35-26. So that is just coming to a conclusion on Sports Extra. Later on Sports Extra, the WSL match between Tottenham and Manchester United, and later still NFL at 9 o'clock tonight on Sports Extra. But 2-0, it's been entertaining, been very entertaining for Tottenham, and Leicester have won. Leicester have won in the Challenge Cup by 35 points to 26. And kick is missed by Romero. Joe Linton does well there. Ball bounces out to the left-hand side to Gordon. He's got space on the left-hand side. White shirts coming back, and actually Sarr doing tremendously well to win the ball back, and then beats Gordon for good measure, and then clears it away to the halfway line. Great confidence, lovely turn by Johnson against Livramento, and 3 minutes are being added on at the end of the first half. Excellent entertainment. And then cheers as well, because Joe Linton's overhit a pass nowhere near Almiron, and it's out for a throw into Newcastle.
That is a brilliant piece of play by Sarr, isn't it? It really has caught the eye. He's been out for a little while, he's come back now. Substitute the other night, but he gets himself in the right back position. We know the pace and the quality of Gordon. There's a phrase in Scotland, sweeties off a wane. Isn't taking sweets off a child. That's exactly what it looked like there, didn't it, when he took the ball off Gordon?
Newcastle coming forward. I mean, if they could get a goal before half-time, it would be very much against the run of play, but it would put a different complexion on it. Give Ange Postecoglou something to think about at the break, although I wouldn't say that they're necessarily threatening to do that.
Also say, I don't think it would change his mind on it.
No, probably wouldn't. Trippier playing the ball in for Miley, but Bissouma came across, got a touch to deflect it behind, and what they do have is a corner in the second minute of added time at the end of the first half.
And the thing to underline about it, Spurs will tire. They do tire because of the energy they put into it. They're only human, so you have to stay in the game. As you say, if you could score from this corner kick, what a difference it would make.
Trippier to take it. 7 Premier League assists for Trippier. Pat was talking about that earlier. Trippier takes the corner, deep one towards Lascelles, hits him on the shoulder. I think Richarlison might have just actually glanced it, and then it hit the Newcastle captain on the shoulder, and then the ball's been played off him and out for a throw into Tottenham halfway inside their own half. So really excellent Tottenham in the first half. Really, really good. Occasional threat from Newcastle, but Tottenham have been overwhelmingly the better team.
Man, the joyous thing is, I mean, if you watch Spurs playing, the fact that, okay, in a difficult time, they've not got the results they want. It looks to some people naive, maybe particularly the game against Chelsea, the way they went at it. But football fans just look back at it and say, no, you give us that amount of excitement, and if we have our full team playing here, if you're Spurs, it's going to be brilliant to watch, and it will probably be successful. And by the way, that's before Ange Postecoglou has brought in any of his own players. Very few of these players are his decisions. He's going to make some decisions over maybe Christmas time, but almost certainly next summer. It's not even his team yet, and they are a joy to watch.
So 2-0 to Tottenham. It's not been Newcastle's day, certainly not the supporters. And that's brilliant there from Romero, who's nutmegged Joe Linton on the halfway line. Argentina against Brazil. He'll have enjoyed that. And now, still Tottenham coming forward. Kulusevski, left side now to Son, infield, centrally. Romero's joined the attack. Now he's lifted one to Kulusevski. First time pass over, looking for Richarlison in the middle. And the ball bounces behind, I think off Richarlison, but in any case, referee Kavanagh's blown the half-time whistle, and that's a great response from Tottenham to losing here to West Ham on Thursday night, to losing the last 3 home games. I'm afraid it's a sorry tale for Newcastle again on the road. Many of their supporters couldn't get here, not on the road, but on the rails today. I mean, it'd be an easy thing to say that they've not missed anything. That's not the point. They wanted to be here, whatever. They would have wanted to witness this, however it turns out. But not going Newcastle's way, but very much going Tottenham's way.
Yeah, lots of things to take positive out of. Richarlison's actually very good, getting in the right positions. And when he scores his goal there, you're so happy for him, because you think, is it ever going to really work for him? his mate Sonny has done him some favour tonight, because he's put the ball on a plate. It's almost unmissable. Son, probably the best player that Spurs have had in the game. But if you look through that entire team, Porro doing little tricks and dummies there. Sarr looks fantastic, but Bissouma, you don't even need to mention. He's like that every single week when he's playing. And Udogie, he's playing tricks there as a left fullback. This is a team that you love watching. Hey, it won't always work, but it'll always entertain you.
Yep, on that 45 minutes, there doesn't look to be too much wrong with Tottenham. They're winning 2-0 here against Newcastle.
Yeah, it's the first time, Pat, that Bissouma and Starr have started together at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium since that 4-1 defeat to Chelsea, in which Spurs were amazing for the first 15 minutes or so. This is easily the best they've played since then, isn't it?
It's them. I'm sure they played together in that Manchester United game that I was here for as well. And they absolutely battered that Manchester United midfield that day. Made them look old. That was the only word I could think of it. It was old. And they do look, other teams look really quite pedestrian when the both of them together. So yeah, I think every Tottenham fan knows, and certainly the manager knows, if you can get them to Bissouma and Sarr together in that midfield, and they'll hold off anyone. They can be playing against 2 or 3 and it won't make any difference. And that allows Johnson to get further forward. That allows Richarlison, Son, Kulusevski, just you spend your time attacking as much as possible. Not that they won't go and defend when they need to, as we noticed there when Richarlison got back and made that tackle round about the halfway line. Made the tackle, won the ball from Bruno Guimaraes, and then made the run into the box and got the tap in. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of positives here for Tottenham. Not so many from Newcastle, but that's been the story, hasn't it, for them? Travelling away from home, they've not really played quite as well.
Yeah, more of the same for Newcastle so far, but Tottenham starting to look like themselves again. Spurs 2, Newcastle 0, half time. Full-time scores earlier in the Premier League. Luton 1, Manchester City 2, Fulham 5, West Ham 0 and Everton 2, Chelsea 0. We've got reaction on the way from David Moyes, Pep Guardiola and Sean Dyche. Bit of breaking news for you. Stoke City have sacked manager Alex Neil. That comes after yesterday's 1-0 home defeat to Sheffield Wednesday. Their 4th successive defeat. They've taken only 2 points from the last 18 and they are 20th in the Championship. 5 Live breakfast from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Rachel Burden and Johnny A. Anson will be reacting to this weekend's games. They'll also be discussing the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak speaking at the COVID inquiry tomorrow. They'll also reflect on a big weekend of TV. It's the I'm a Celebrity final tonight and the Strictly semi-final, and also the last of the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials. 5 Live breakfast from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Lots of reaction on the way, and then the second half from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium after the news with Joe Hornby.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The government has insisted that its latest proposals to send some migrants to Rwanda will pass legal tests and succeed in reducing the number of people coming to the UK. MPs are due to vote on the plans on Tuesday, but the former Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick described it as a political choice to revive the scheme and said large numbers of immigrants would be able to appeal. The Levelling Up Secretary Michael Gove insisted the challenges would be small.
It very clearly points out that the only way in which an individual can challenge deportation is if there is an immediate risk of serious and irreversible harm if they were to be deported.
The United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees has said it's on the verge of collapsing because of what it calls the hell on earth in Gaza. Israel is intensifying its offensive in the centre of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. People there have been urged to leave. A spokesman for the Israeli government, Mark Regev, insists efforts are being made to reduce the number of civilian deaths.
We hold ourselves to a high standard, and we're making and continue to make a maximum effort to keep civilians out of crossfire. And that's why we've urged civilians in central Khan Yunis today, please, there's going to be difficult fighting there. Please leave the area, move to safer zones, get out of harm's way. We don't want to see you caught up in the crossfire between us and the Hamas gunmen.
Iran has accused a European Union diplomat who was arrested 2 years ago of gathering intelligence material for Israel. The authorities have just revealed the charges against Johan Flederus, who's Swedish. The president of the UN's COP28 climate summit in Dubai has urged world leaders to be flexible to reach the agreements needed to limit the worst effects of global warming. The International Energy Agency has warned that the pledges made so far at the conference are only a third of what is needed. And weather warnings are in place for Scotland until this evening and in the northeast of England until tomorrow as Storm Fergus sweeps across the country. There are concerns about heavy rain falling on saturated ground. Some 40 flood warnings are in place in England and 3 in Scotland.
BBC 5 Live.
The voice of sport.
Europe's elite club competition.
The Champions League. Right here on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Tuesday night at 8. Manchester United take on Bayern Munich.
Highland shoots on the turn. It's in.
And on Wednesday night at 8, Newcastle United host AC Milan.
Remarkable at St James's Park. Joe Ellington into the penalty area.
The Champions League on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman.
On 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Spurs 2, Newcastle 0, second half commentary on the way. Already today, Manchester City ended their 4-match winless run coming from behind to beat Luton 2-1. They did it without Erling Haaland. Here's Pep Guardiola with Rob Nothman.
A lot of City fans, a lot of football fans are not medical experts. So can you shed any light on how long Erling Haaland might be out for?
Have a stress bone in his foot, and the day after Aston Villa was painful, could not walk. But yesterday I spoke with him. I said, I don't have pain walking, but I don't think we'll be for Crystal Palace. Hopefully can help us to the World Cup in Saudi Arabia. So we will see day by day, week by week, how is his improvement.
But it doesn't look as serious as some people might think it would be.
I'm not a doctor. I'm an excellent manager, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. We will see next week.
Pep Guardiola, so it's obviously not a stress fracture then for Erling Haaland. Great news for Manchester City fans. As for the game itself, Luton went ahead through Elijah Adebayo before goals from Bernardo Silva and Jack Grealish.
We knew it was going to be a tough game. I just says then in there, it's clash, coming to these grounds, and for me, coming from League One, playing in League One and then playing in the Championship, and now obviously I've been in the Premier League for a few years. This reminds me of like a proper old school ground, and the fans, they're right on you, and they get proper behind you. So I think it's class coming here. I think the foreign lads, I don't think they, when they come here, they're like, I think it's class, and fair play to them. I think they're a much better team than people give them credit for. And they made it really hard for us today.
That's Jack Grealish. Fulham have won 5-0 for the second game in a row, this time against West Ham at Craven Cottage. Here's the West Ham manager, David Moyes, with Chris Wise.
David, very different emotions to the victory that you picked up on Thursday at Spurs. What did you make of the performance today?
Well, I think there was a carryover from Thursday, and it's strange that you're saying Thursday. Wish it had been Wednesday or Tuesday like most clubs had got, or like Fulham had got. So, we didn't perform well, Fulham did. We'd started pretty well in the opening 15-20 minutes, it felt like, and then we gave away our first goal, which was ridiculous, which gave them a lift, and it went from bad to worse, really. I'm not disappointed because the boys put in a great effort on Thursday night. Today, we just didn't have the juice.
So West Ham 9th and 3 points outside the top 6. Everton won their third game in a row. They beat Chelsea 2-0 at Goodison Park. Despite the home side having to wait till the second half to get their first shot on target, Everton boss Sean Dyche has been speaking about his team's win-at-all-costs attitude.
The overall pleasing thing for me, other than winning, of course, is finding different ways to win games. I've never been... People talk about all my ways and all that sort of stuff. I've never been bothered. Short ball, long ball, call it what you want. Winning, that's what you need to do. And we're finding different ways to win, and that's so pleasing for the mentality of a group. When today we've had to work so hard, we've pressed, we've played, we've found our moments because we do have quality. Played in other games where we've dominated the ball, we've dominated chances, and we haven't won. So we've mixed it up so well, and that's an important factor. And I think the team are beginning to not only understand it, but to believe in it. And when you get that mixture, as you know, it can really look after you. And we're certainly looking after ourselves at the moment.
In the Scottish Premiership, Kilmarnock came from a goal behind to beat Celtic 2-1. That's Celtic's first loss of the season. Their lead over Rangers remains at 5 points. Celtic have played a game more, so Kilmarnock have now beaten Celtic twice and Rangers once. This season, in the Women's Super League, Alessia Russo scored twice as Arsenal beat Chelsea 4-1 to move level on points with the leaders. That's Chelsea's first league defeat of the season, in front of a WSL record crowd, 59,000 at the Emirates. Here's the Chelsea manager, Emma Hayes.
I thought we were too deep in the first half, much too deep, and I think that invited pressure. But we have to be clear, they scored from their first chance, poor from us. Second was a corner where we got bullied and the ball went into a corner space, and it's not an area for our goalkeeper to come and claim. That's 2-0, or at least 2-1 at that point. And then a simple ball in behind our centre-backs, and I thought our problems created meant that it's an uphill battle second half, because then we're committing numbers forward and then we give away a silly penalty. And fair play to Arsenal. They bullied, they harassed. We didn't compete anywhere. I thought the whole team was poor for us today. And when you play a good team and you're 3-1 down away from home, then 4-1, everything's an uphill battle. I think it was an extremely difficult game to coach.
Well, Beth Mead's had an uphill battle with injuries, but she's very much back. Scored for England last week, scored for Arsenal this week. Here she is.
We know we needed to win this game today. Football's a funny game. You never know how it's going to go, but I thought overall the team were incredible today. We from minute one, went into the game and we were so intense and great on and off the ball. I thought that gave us that extra edge, and we scored the goals as well, which always helps.
And just finally, coming here today after such an emotionally tough week with England and Team GB missing out on the Olympics, last time we saw you pitchside, clearly emotional in Scotland. How difficult has it been to park that and focus on the domestic game again today?
Yeah, obviously it was a tough evening. Like I said, football's a funny game and a lot of goals, and we didn't quite make it, but it's club football now. You've got to put everything into Arsenal, and that's what I did, and I'm sure the rest of the girls did today as well.
That's Beth Mead with Joe Curry. Other scores: Brighton 2, Leicester 2, Liverpool 1, Bristol City 1 and West Ham 0, Everton 1. There's a 6:45 kickoff, which is Tottenham against Manchester United. In the Rugby Union European Champions Cup, Sale beat Stade Francais 28-5, finished Leicester 35, Stormers 26 and La Rochelle 9, Leinster 16. In the European Challenge Cup, Perpignan 12, Lions 28 and Newcastle 19, Montpellier 24. And in the Women's T20 International in Mumbai, India beat England by 5 wickets, but the series still finishes 2-1 to England. Once we're done at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, it'll be time for 606 08085 909 693. Get your calls in now to speak to Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. Afternoon, Robbie.
Afternoon, Steve. Chris is in Glasgow.
He's not very happy,
Celtic.
Is he?
Well, Celtic losing against Kilmarnock at 2-1. Heard him on the commentary. He's not happy. Rangers with the win yesterday, Stephen. So I wonder what his mood would be like today. He was a bit grumpy last night.
Do you fancy Rangers to win the title this season?
You still got to fancy Celtic, haven't you? But it's a title race, as there is a title race in the Premier League, Steve. Obviously, Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, City with that win against Luton. Luton have been brilliant. I know they've only won 1 in 10, but they've been brilliant, pushing Arsenal, pushing City today. Spurs, again, exciting to watch. They got the first goal again in the game. I think they scored first in the last, was it 4 or 5, and only taken 1 point from 15. But they've got the all-important second this afternoon. The big question is tonight, Steve. Listen, I'm sure we'll be getting West Ham and Chelsea fans talking about their managers. David Moyes, West Ham are 9th. They've got hammered today. They beat Spurs the last time out away from home. They've lost today 5, but again, I'm sure we'll get West Ham fans saying David Moyes out, which is nonsense, absolute nonsense. Listen, they know more about their club than me, but you've got to look in general, doing well in Europe, 9th in the Premier League. What is it? A semi-final of the Europa League, then winning the Europa Conference League. The 9th, Chelsea are 12th, 19 points. Is that acceptable for Chelsea at this stage of the season? I know there's been a huge turnaround of players, basically a brand new squad, but they're 12th, 19 points. Is that acceptable?
Also, I think we need to be asking whether Luton were given enough respect before this season. People were saying that they could have a record low Premier League points total. I can't remember who's got that rerecord. Was it?
It was Derby County, Steve. Derby County. It was, Steve. Yeah, I'm sure. Nice you to remind me that, Steve.
Sorry, it's complete coincidence. 08085 909 693 to speak to Robbie and Chris. Ball's on the centre spot at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, so we're ready with the second half. John.
Yes, it is. Tottenham get the second half underway, leading well by 2-0. Yes, welcome everyone back inside the Tottenham Stadium. listeners to the BBC's World Service joining us as well. And Tottenham are already straight on the attack. No changes, no substitutions for either side at half-time. And immediately we see Johnson just away down below us, giving the ball infield. Porro. Tottenham right back in their stride already. Back to Johnson on the right, goes for the byline, pulls it across, and it's stabbed away in the middle by Miley and out for a throw into Spurs down the right. Pat Nevin, it's almost like half-time hasn't happened.
Words out of my mouth there. You know, they've started exactly the same way again, getting to the byline just as they did right side, left side, it doesn't matter what. They are so positive. 2-0 up, they're not going to sit and hang on to this, they want another.
Newcastle, though, from the throw, win the ball back, although Isak has been involved in the losing of it. So Tottenham in the all-white with the blue numbers on the back, the dark blue numbers, and Newcastle in the black shirts, black shorts and yellow trim, yellow socks as well. And Newcastle forcing Tottenham actually to go back all the way to Vicario. So Vicario's in goal, Pedro Porro, Romero, Davis and Udogie are the back four, then Bissouma and Sarr, as Fabian Schär gets up high and actually illegally jumps into Richarlison. He did head the ball, but he jumped into Richarlison, who's down in a heap. And it's a free kick to Tottenham forward of the centre circle.
It's just ridiculous the way they went over the top of him. Now centre forwards do that, they sometimes lean in. He leans in, he looks, but he can't come straight over the top of a player. That his knee was up at the back of Richarlison's head. Richarlison will recover. And just to finish that Tottenham lineup, the way that they're playing today, Son very much on the left-hand side, Johnson on the right, and it's almost like a front four with Richarlison furthest forward, but Kulusevski playing in an advanced central position towards the left for the most part. Tottenham waste the free kick terribly, really, and so Newcastle have got it back inside their own half. It's a dry evening here in North London. Still many people yet to retake their seats. There are lots of exciting things to do inside this Tottenham stadium, and presumably they're all doing it. Here's the ball on the right hand side with Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes under pressure, gives it back to Trippier, who's been beaten for Son for both of the goals that Tottenham have scored, but all of the praise there, I feel, should go to Son, with Schär now lifting a ball. Trippier heads it back to the edge of the area. Almiron stretching for it, nodded away on the edge of the box by Bissouma, and then Johnson lifts it forward, but Newcastle have it back with Schär, who heads it forward, then lifts it forward with his foot, and then Bruno Guimaraes gives it to his right to the 17-year-old Miley, who passes it to Almiron, and then Trippier on the overlap, looking to cross, plays it into Udogie, who's deflected it wide and behind for a Newcastle corner. Applause from the Newcastle fans who are here in that corner. And they're desperate, they need Trippier to go up there. I mean, he's such a phenomenal player for them. He creates so much from that right hand side, but you know, they covered over there. I think it was Bissouma who got over there, and that is classic play from a central defensive midfield player. Get over there, see where the danger is, snuff it out, and he did that.
Newcastle corner, goal would change things. Into Joe Linton at the near post, but headed away for Tottenham by Ben Davis. Comes out for Newcastle centrally. Livramento plays it to Isak, who's over here on the left hand side. I'll run you through the Newcastle side in a moment, but basically it's unchanged. Same outfield players for a fifth consecutive match. Isak plays it in now high. That's headed away by Davis. Did well actually under pressure with Lascelles, who was still up there challenging him for it. An excellent defensive header from Ben Davis. Out for a throw. Newcastle take it. They've got the ball down now. It's being played in field. Bruno Guimaraes, his return pass to Almiron was intercepted by Richarlison, who's a contender for the man of the match. And it's Tottenham who break away, with Kulusevski now down into the penalty area on the left. Crosses, stretch from Johnson to head it back across the penalty area. Shouts for handball against Bruno Guimaraes. Referee's not interested in that. He was challenging Richarlison, and Newcastle have been able to get it away to the halfway line.
Very noticeable. When Tottenham started breaking there, I thought, well, the Newcastle players that got back will get back. They just didn't have the pace. Nowhere close to the pace. The players that are running away from them there. That's a real shock, really, because Spurs are running with the ball.
2-0 to Spurs. Udogie and Richarlison, the goal scorers. And now Johnson's beaten Schär, and Johnson clips it in, and that's a decent header away by Lascelles. He had to make it. Ball still in the box, but passed away by Joe Linton to Isak. And Newcastle should deal with this at the back as they pass it across the penalty area. Boos for Schär, who gave it to Joe Linton.
I wonder if there's a tactical change from Newcastle here. They put Gordon up front, and Isak left.
All right, okay, here is Gordon in a more central position, eased into by Romero. That's a foul. Free kick to Newcastle on the right. Yes, it does appear that way. So Dubravka in goal, Trippier, Lascelles, Schär and Livramento the back four, then Miley, Guimaraes and Joe Linton. But as Pat Nevins spotted, Gordon through the middle, Isak on the left and Almiron on the right.
The reason why I noticed it, out of sight of where the play was going on, was because I suspected Isak has had such a little effect in the play. You either take him off or you move him, and it appears to have moved him. See if that's going to work first, and then after that it must be Callum Wilson gets an opportunity.
Yes, Wilson's on the bench if you weren't listening earlier. So the injury issues have eased slightly for Newcastle, with Wilson and Sean Longstaff as well on the bench today, coming back from injury. So you would think they'll be in the mix against Milan on Wednesday night. 5 Live, the place to hear that live from St James's Park. But Newcastle with this free kick on the right hand side. Trippier to take this, outswinger, glances off the head of Bissouma, I think got to it at the near post. A whole number of players jumped for it, and it came off the Tottenham man's head and out for a throw-in on the left hand side, which Joe Linton takes quickly. Yes, that's the thing for Newcastle, they've been outplayed so far in the match, but one goal, and the way that Tottenham, as we've been saying, have conceded leads. Bruno Guimaraes lifting it forward into the penalty area, Pedro Porro, but Joe Linton gets there first. Joe Linton then challenged by Sarr, still Joe Linton falls over as he passes it back to Livramento, who might have been fouled by Richarlison. Came in, got the ball, but certainly got Livramento as well. However, Newcastle retain possession and have it on the right hand side, and Almiron to Trippier, and Trippier's deep cross to the back post. Gordon stretching but could only lift it. He was beyond the far post and lifted it wide and into the crowd behind the goal.
That's a good lift from Newcastle. It's not just one attack, they've actually kept the ball for a decent amount of time there, and they've not exactly set up camp, but they've got plenty of players in there. They've got round the back, right hand side, left hand side a couple of times as well. So yeah, Eddie Howe will be absolutely delighted with that little bit of possession and a little bit of attacking strength that they've put together.
So the lines are open for 606 on 5 Live. The phone in 08085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton tonight. Chris is in Glasgow, as we heard from Robbie, having been at the Celtic defeat earlier today. So Celtic fans, they want to hear from you. We heard Robbie say he'd like to hear from West Ham supporters, Chelsea fans, and I suppose Stoke fans as well, now that Alex Neil has lost his job after their poor recent run. Here's Bruno Guimaraes now to the edge of the area to Almiron, and then Trippier's ball into the near post. Davis falling over, puts it behind for a corner to Newcastle. Huge improvement for Eddie Howe's side.
Yeah, much better now. They started the second half, we thought it was going to be exactly the same again. Spurs started well, but since then, a couple of minutes worth of good Spurs play, and then Newcastle, they've really lifted it. And I think it's one of those Eddie Howe said to him, look, I'm going to give you 10 or 15 minutes here. If you go and change it, I'll have to make some changes. And he's done that.
Christian Romero's taken a knock. I think it was Joe Linton. Just seeing that again, actually. Joe Linton went into the challenge, sat down. Now he's stood up and he's okay, and he's back in a position where he needs to be for Tottenham, defending this corner. So corner from the right for Newcastle. Trippier with the outswinger. Lascelles was after it, but Tottenham got ahead to it, cleared it away. Comes out to Newcastle though. Livramento, then back to Bruno Guimaraes with his blonde rinse, and then he overran the ball, slid into the challenge. Sarr won it back. Tottenham were all over him, but Bissouma's ball forward will bounce out of play for a throw into Newcastle.
I tell you what, Newcastle got lucky there. They left nobody back. I mean, you have to. I mean, it's quite early in the second half. You can't take chances like that. Nobody back from the corner kick, and then when the play started getting broken up, there was still nobody back. Very unfortunate for Tottenham. They couldn't get good control of the ball there.
A little bit of an exchange, I think I saw there, between Ange Postecoglou and Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall. I saw Jason Tindall, most unlike him, in the ear of the fourth official, Tom Bramall. But I think Ange Postecoglou shrugged it off.
You just can't see him being bothered by anyone, can you? And I don't think you'd want to take him on.
I don't think so.
No. I suspect maybe hard behind that.
Tottenham 2, Newcastle 0, and then the ball's deflected out of play for what is given as eventually given as a throw into Tottenham. Joe Linton's put his hands on his hips, looking most upset.
Ange Postecoglou gave that for about half a minute there. He's standing with his hand out like an assistant referee, and then the assistant referee thought, no, I'll do the same.
And Eddie Howe actually held onto the ball there on the side of the pitch until the decision had been made. So Tottenham have been on the back foot. Newcastle have had a good spell of 5 or 6 minutes, but it needs to be more than that. And Tottenham now with Kulusevski through the middle. Kulusevski turns, gives it to the right-hand side. Pedro Porro's low ball across, that's stretching away from Cher. Back to Porro though, square from Sarr. Bissouma with a shot, but Dubravka's able to go down and save that in a routine style, really.
It's just the ease in which Spurs, when they do get the ball in the wide areas, they get to the byline. And you're supposed to make it very hard to get to the byline, because it is the hardest ball to defend, and the Spurs have scored 2 goals from getting to the byline. But it's the ease of it. You know, the 2 wide players, if they're not going to get there, they move in, and the fullbacks just fly in there. This time it was Porro. Earlier on, it's been Udogie a few times too.
Yep, Son's set up both goals in the first half. The first one for Destiny Udogie to score his first goal for the club, and then for Richarlison to get what is only his 3rd Premier League goal for Tottenham since his expensive move here from Everton. His 3rd goal this season in all competitions. Trippier groans because Tottenham gave it away to the Newcastle man. Now Almiron moving infield from right to left. Almiron picks out Isak on the edge of the area. Isak slips the ball through the legs of Sarr. Joe Linton on the edge of the area. Tottenham have just been able to scrape it away, but Newcastle have it back. Much improved this from Eddie Howe's team. Livramento, then infield towards Joe Linton, and then back to the halfway line. It's going to be a big night on Wednesday night. Newcastle have to win to stand a chance of staying in the Champions League. Milan come, having lost to Atalanta yesterday, as Tottenham break away, but Lascelles is able to slide into the challenge on Kulusevski and put it out for a throw down the right-hand side. Throw it taken quickly by Johnson to Kulusevski, and then Cher puts in the challenge inside the penalty area. Kulusevski slips it through the legs of Joe Linton. Back to Johnson. Now Pedro Porro. Porro back to Kulusevski, touch with his right foot, then the ball in behind Richarlison, who gambled on a run into the inside right position, but he went for the ball into the middle, and it totally broke down. And then a free kick to Newcastle. But I think the referee's going to play advantage here. Bruno Guimarães. There's a foul on Livramento, but Bruno Guimarães finds the pass to Trippier, who's bringing the ball forward, not at full tilt. Almiron's available outside him. Almiron, Miley closer to the corner of the 6-yard, the penalty area. Now Joe Linton square to Bruno Guimarães, and his pass behind him to Lascelles. It'll go right again, it does. Kieran Trippier is out there. Then Almiron, back to Bruno Guimarães. And now the ball played forward to Miley. Miley clips it across towards Isak, but above the head of the Swedish international. And it was headed out of play by Johnson for, I think that was that a corner or a throw?
Yeah, I think it was corner. Do you know what? This game's changed now, hasn't it? It absolutely has changed. Newcastle they're on the front foot, they're controlling the play the way they never did in the first half. A lot of it has actually got to do with Kieran Trippier. Because he's flying down the right-hand side, they're going down the right-hand side all the time. Son isn't going with them all the time. He looks as if he's tiring a wee bit just now. Trippier isn't.
Corner then, Trippier to the back post. Punched away, flapped away really by Vicario, the goalkeeper. Comes out to the edge of the area. That looked as though it might have been a handball by Almiron. Never mind, Tottenham are off on the counter-attack, and Livramento's the only man back for Newcastle, and Son was bundled over by Lascelles in the centre circle. You know, there was only Livramento there. Has to be a yellow card for Lascelles, and I think Tottenham are trying to make the case that it might be a red, but I think there were far too many players all pouring back, and it is just a yellow card.
He knew. That was brilliantly worked out. I mean, darkest of the dark arts, but he knew if he pulled them back there, they were in big trouble. It was 3 against 1, but he knew that was one player between him and the goal. The referee cannot give a red card in that situation. Lascelles, it hurts me to say it, but I am secretly impressed with his skullduggery there. I hate myself for being impressed by it, but that's actually very intelligent. But it shows you what we were talking just about a few minutes before. They're not leaving enough players back for the break. Spurs will make capital out of that.
Yeah. Tottenham 2, Newcastle 0, but it's a risk, it's a gamble, and at 2-0 down as Pedro Porro plays the pass. Richarlison with a chance, he's scored again. 3-0 Tottenham, and Richarlison scored 2 of them. He's a changed man, and Postecoglou loves that on the side of the pitch. The Spurs players celebrating, and half of them over there on the far side have gone to Richarlison, and now actually Brennan Johnson says to Richarlison in front of the big stand to our right here, you go and you take the acclaim of the Tottenham fans. He's had such a tough run, the goals simply haven't come, but this is a much, much better day for Richarlison and for Tottenham as well after the recent events. Tottenham 3, Newcastle 0.
Do you know what? It comes to him, and then the sensible thing would have been to have a diving header at it, but he doesn't. It's because suddenly, having already scored one, he's confident. His first touch, he just takes it away from himself in his left foot, but he does not panic at that point in time, and then he just slips it under the goalkeeper there. Do you know what? If he hadn't scored the first goal today, it probably would have miscontrolled that much worse. However, when you're confident and a striker, it just gets easy. He's already thinking about his hat-trick, I can promise you that now.
Well, it's his best day so far in a Premier League match for Tottenham, that goes without saying. Scoring 2 goals in the match. We should give credit to Pedro Porro, which I think is what Ant Postecoglou was doing on the side of the pitch here. And now Tottenham break into the box again with Kulusevski. But what that goal has done, Pat, of course, is after Newcastle have had a good spell, and there were obviously 1 or 2 concerns with the recent events, losing leads. Well, that makes it look as though it's surely 3 points for Tottenham today.
Well, the psychology of it's really hard on Newcastle, because they've had the best period of play, they're controlling it, they're getting half chances there, the little tactical change has actually worked, so they're all feeling really good about themselves, and then that's the old punch in the solar plexus.
It is 3-0 then, Tottenham 3, Newcastle 0, and now this is looking shaky for Newcastle, losing 3-0 at Everton on Thursday night, their heaviest defeat of the Premier League season so far, and now 3-0 down with still over just under half an hour to play, and it's been lost by Bruno Guimaraes on the halfway line. A flick from Sarr into the path of Kulusevski. Kulusevski to the edge of the box, through for Johnson. Oh, he's hit the post and it's come back out. Pedro Porro with a cross. This might reach Richarlison. It does. He's outside the penalty area. I don't know how that didn't go in from Brennan Johnson. Now Son on the left-hand side. Tottenham now tails up again. Son back to Bissouma, and a buzz again going around the stadium. There's no fear now, but that shot, it hit the inside of the top of the left post and came back in the same direction, Pat.
Yeah, that would be one of the best goals you've seen this season because of the build-up and the quality of the shot.
Kulusevski curling it into the back post, and the shot right across the face of goal from the arriving Son, from a very tight angle, but all the way back across the 6-yard box and wide.
Do you know what, when you get pieces of play like this, I sometimes just turn away from the pitch and look at the fans, and honestly, ear to ear grins everywhere. The enjoyment, the pleasure of this, the excitement of it around this place is brilliant. They've been so desperate, after that little bit of a hiccup for a little while. They've stuck by their manager, they've stuck by his style, they've stuck by the team, and they're loving the fact that they've done it now. I mean, you look around the Premier League, and we go to a lot of games, John, but there are some stadiums that are better than others for atmosphere. At the moment, this is right up there, hard to beat, like Villa was.
I was just going to say, we've been to 2 of them this week, you and I, haven't we? Villa Park. I've been fortunate to go to Villa Park twice. 3-0 down now, and with Milan on Wednesday night, Eddie Howe's going to make changes. So this has to be with Wednesday night in mind. Almiron coming off, Miley as well, and he's going to give Callum Wilson a run out, and Longstaff.
I don't think Miley's coming off, is he? I wouldn't think so. I think maybe Almiron, I'm guessing Isak and Almiron, am I right?
Yeah, Miley stayed on, correct. Yeah. It is Isak. So Callum Wilson on up front and Longstaff so both of them making their returns.
Yeah. Which is great news for Newcastle. I know a couple of players back, and they need that little bit of strength and depth.
5 Live in the World Service from the BBC. A good day for Tottenham at their home stadium. But the issues, the worries about Newcastle's away form obviously will continue. But again, all of the time, Eddie Howe can point to that injury list. He's effectively not been able to change his team in the last 5 matches.
Yeah, and it has looked a little bit like that. There's been some tired players out there, particularly midfield, have not really been able to hold it together. But say what you like, they played very well for 10 minutes at the start of the second half. They really lifted it. And have to remember that some of the teams have been playing against have had the bit between their teeth. I mean, to be fair, Everton fighting and battling and chasing, and definitely Spurs. They need something to prove today, and they've proved it.
Tottenham 3, Newcastle 0. Udogie with the opening goal, and then 2 for Richarlison. A red letter day for Richarlison, and you can hear the reaction from the Tottenham crowd, who are lapping this up. Kulusevski now in the centre circle, running away with the ball from Gordon and angling it to his right to Johnson. Johnson so nearly on the score sheet a few moments ago, and Johnson twisting one way and the other, and then finding a little ball in field to Pedro Porro, who chips it goalwards, and it lands on the roof of the net.
Lovely play down the right hand side there, and to be fair, Newcastle do look very, very tired there. I mean, no, Anthony Gordon's got lots and lots of pace, but he tried to chase back and catch Kulusevski. Well, he's got a little bit to catch up on him, but Kulusevski was going away from them, and that's happened quite a few times when the Spurs have actually broke from deep.
Pedro Porro almost became Glenn Hoddle there. Here's Kulusevski shooting and diving to his right. Dubravka leaping to his right, catches it like Peter Bonetti.
Is that allowed? Goalkeeper's catching it. It was a good save there, and once again that's 3 or 4 chances in a row since the third goal that Spurs have got.
Newcastle, low ball in from the right hand side from Gordon, who's now gone over there onto the right hand. So he's started on the left, then was briefly in the middle, now he's on the right hand side, Anthony Gordon.
The type of player he is, I don't think it affects him. Classically, give me the ball anywhere in the final third and I'll be okay. The problem is he's not got the ball in the final third often enough.
Tottenham bringing it forward, Udogie. He loves a run forward. Here's Son running at Trippier again. Son shooting low himself this time, and Dubravka goes down to make a comfortable save to his right.
You could not get a bet on that there, Son, because he's gone and done the step over and got to the byline and made 2 already. He's thinking, how about me? Do I get a chance at some point? So it was always going to go inside this time.
Long one forward for Newcastle, but Romero just sort of knees it back to Vicario, who passes it out of play.
I think we're suggesting to him that he should have passed it. But I think he did try to pass it to Udogie. Porro's saying, give it to me, but I think the keeper's done the right thing there. He's taking no chances whatsoever. Had he passed it to Porro, Wilson might have got in between him.
Halfway through the second half, Tottenham in command and heading for their first win in 6 matches. Newcastle in possession inside the Tottenham half, and Cher and Lascelles. Now the Swiss gives it to Joe Linton, who's further forward now. Miley inside the penalty area. He's moved across from sort of right central midfield to the left. Livramento, Joe Linton, and then Bruno Guimaraes for the outside of his boot with a ball across the edge of the penalty area, but Udogie stepped forward, cleared that away. Wilson misses his kick on the edge of the area. It's won back by Son. Brilliant skill from Son. Lovely stuff. And then it's lost by Udogie. Could open up for Newcastle. Wilson to Gordon. Gordon's cross to the back post. Joe Linton tried to get in there, and actually he's fouled Pedro Porro. Over physical from Joe Linton. Leaned into him. That was quite a tough challenge that he put in there, Joe Linton, on Pedro Porro. Flattened him. Yeah. And it's a yellow card for Joe Linton.
And I know what Joe Linton will say. He'll say, look, I need to go and attack that ball there. You know, the ball's coming out of the back post. Porro's got himself into the perfect position, but he cannot look behind him. He has to keep his eye on the ball that's coming in. So he gets his head to it first, but you know, Joe Linton's flying in there, and he's not lacking in power, Joe Linton.
Gosh, that sent Pedro Porro head over heels.
Yep. He would do. Have you stood beside him before, Joe Linton?
I can't remember if I have, Pat.
He's like a bus. So yeah, that would hurt anyone.
Tottenham 3, Newcastle 0. Lines open for 606 08 085 909 693 to talk to Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, as is the case at almost every Saturday and Sunday night on 5 Live. You can read about it all on the football pages of the BBC Sport website. Our colleague Phil McNulty's here today. He'll be writing about this Tottenham performance. The highlights are on Match of the Day 2 tonight, as they will be until at least 2029 now, so you can certainly plan ahead there and watch it anytime on the iPlayer. Of course, the women's football show will be on the television after that, and then you can hear all the fallout and analysis in the 5 Live Football Daily podcast, of course, free every morning on BBC Sounds. All BBC Radio is there, including the Callum Wilson podcast with Mikel Antonio, and indeed the new series of Troy Deeney and Jermaine Defoe. So search for that on the Players channel on Sounds. 3-0 Tottenham lead as Son feels he should have won a throw-in on the far side, but it's gone Newcastle's way.
It's been quite a battle over there between Son and Trippier. I mean, obviously Son's winning it because he's created 2 goals, but Trippier's he's kept going at it, and he's getting forward a few times as well. I'm talking about the phone in later on. Someone did send me a message saying that as a calendar year, and the teams that have been in the Premier League for this calendar year, who's bottom?
I know who the teams towards the top. Here's Gordon on the right-hand side. They're the teams who've been in the Premier League all 2023.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I can give you the answer to it, because in simple terms, some of Chelsea fans that would get in touch with me.
Well,
Chelsea.
Do you know what? Because you posed the question, that was going to be my guess. And you know what Robbie said about Chelsea at half-time on 5 Live. Your thoughts as a twice former Chelsea Player of the Year?
It's incredible. When they started buying a lot of the young players that they've bought, and the ones that have no experience in the Premier League, I remember thinking, that's a good plan, that could work in a couple of years. But I've not changed my mind. It would take at least 2 years for that to actually bear any fruit, because there's so many young players, and it's still an if. It's not a def, it's an if, because you don't know which one of those young players are going to develop into top Premier League players. So tough times for Chelsea at the moment.
Yep, Chelsea fans, 08 085 909 693. Here is Joe Linton on the left-hand side. Newcastle 3-0 down. Joe Linton weaving run into the penalty area, then runs into Romero, and then I thought that was going to be a foul by Miley on Sarr, but Tottenham have actually played out of difficulties. And then Richarlison is tackled by Bruno Guimaraes, and it's out of play for a throw. And Tottenham are going to make their first change. Ange Postecoglou, double change. So Hotspur coming on for Spurs, and also Lo Celso. So they were the 2 players who were left out today when Postecoglou made 2 changes. And Richarlison, well, he won't get his hat-trick, Pat.
He'll get a round of applause.
But he'll get the next best thing, and that is the standing ovation from Tottenham fans all around the stadium. To our right, they're on their feet applauding Richarlison. I think some thought we might never see this day, but he's had a brilliant day, possibly his best day for Spurs.
I would agree with that. And brilliant reaction as he's walked off there, and brilliant reaction of players that are coming on as well. But he knows he's done his job. But it's the other side of it as well. He's bought into it, like you have to buy into it when you're playing under Ange Postecoglou. He's bought into the defensive side, the hard-working side, but also, in the end, it's the goals, and he scored plenty of them today.
Newcastle also make another change, so Anthony Gordon's off. He'll be important on Wednesday night against Milan, and so Matt Ritchie is coming onto the field to play over on the right-hand side where latterly Gordon was playing. So yeah, looking after him, they'll need to be fully firing, and if Newcastle are fully firing, they need Gordon to be at his best. So I can understand that one as well.
Yeah, big one also bringing off Livramento, bringing on Lewis Hall. Lewis Hall's not had that many opportunities. That left back's
oh, lovely from Johnson on the edge of the Newcastle box, but then overran it, and it ran into the path of Longstaff, who was able to play it away. Yeah, Lewis Hall's actually not appeared since the defeat at Bournemouth, which was another very disappointing Newcastle away performance.
Yeah, but it's a tough position. You think of Dan Burns back there. We've got Livramento, so he's come on, did very well. Lewis Hall desperate for an opportunity, and I suppose the one thing I would say about Lewis Hall, he's not just a left back. He's spent a good part of his career, in the public eye at left full back. He would think of himself more as a midfielder. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops as time goes by.
Yes, it will. On loan from Chelsea, Longstaff playing the ball out towards the right-hand side, and it's passed forward there by Ritchie to Callum Wilson. Wilson with 2 Tottenham players with him, then Ritchie as well, but Tottenham battling for it and actually come out with the ball against Wilson. And Basuma goes through the challenge of Longstaff, still Basuma carrying the ball, giving it to Hotspur on the edge of his own penalty area. And mention of Dan Burn, you've done well there, Pat. That has reminded me that Dan Burn will be alongside us for the commentary inside St James's Park on Wednesday night. So Chris Waddle will be with me for the commentary on Newcastle Milan. But Dan Byrne will be with us inside St James's Park, so don't miss that on Wednesday.
In that case, I'm not offended by being dumped.
Yeah, here's Johnson on the right-hand side, past Hall, now back towards the edge of the penalty area, where it's been run away by Lo Celso. And then Pedro Porro, nutmeg on Miley, shoots low, but Dubravka's able to go down and pat the ball, kill it, and pick it up.
Is that the third nutmeg that we've seen from Spurs players today? And
it's been a nutmeg special today, Pat.
Yeah, it has been, and it's always the full-backs and centre-backs, and Porro did one, and Doggy did one as well, and it's, the confidence that is flowing through this team is extraordinary.
Well, it's nearly Christmas, isn't it? Nutmeg special.
Oh yes.
I think nutmeg in eggnog, as Joe Linton shoots, and it's blocked by Hotspur on the edge of the area, which deflected it wide for another Newcastle corner.
One of the big things that the players that have come on for Tottenham, particularly you see someone like Hotspur, he would have thought himself as a natural, a starter, one of the first names in the team sheet, just to see his reaction, his attitude when he comes on. Well, I've watched that a few times, and it's been exceptional every time that I've seen him come on the pitch.
Well, I'll carry that on in a moment, but Newcastle have got the corner from the left-hand side, which is delivered in by Trippier to the back post, and Joe Linton, middle of the goal, leaping for it. Had Tottenham players either side of him, could only glance it beyond the far post. And it is a goal kick to Tottenham, who lead by 3-0. Convincing day for Tottenham and Franz Postecoglou. And the point is, as Kulusevski brings it down, then Lo Celso passes it first time forward, but Cher's able to head it back, and then Trippier to goalkeeper Dubravka. Hotspur continuing his run, but Dubravka passes it out, headed back to the right-hand side, where Tottenham win it. Through the middle, Udogie again. He's had a good day as well, but been impressive performances all over the pitch from Tottenham. Bissouma going back centrally to Hotspur, just forward of the centre circle to the left. Point being on Hotspur, you would want to be a part of this if what they say about it is right, and Ange Postecoglou's philosophy, as though that's given away by Bissouma and Newcastle have it back.
It's also been given freedom. I mean, Hotspur, everyone thought of him for a long time just as a sit and holding midfielder. He's actually been given an opportunity to go forward too.
Joe Linton winning it back from Romero, and then I think tripped by Pedro Porro, he was. And it's a free kick to Newcastle, left of centre.
I said generally the spirit of this game's been very good. It's gone down there. Joe Linton, and he could have rolled around a bit, he didn't, he just got on. It's a handshake. Two teams that have got a lot of similarities about them, very positive minded, try to be attack minded as much as possible. Problem for Newcastle, apart from a 10-minute spell just about the start of the first half, they've just not been able to put that together for any length of time.
No, it's going to be their 6th Premier League defeat of the season, and last season they lost only 5 league matches in the whole of the season, as they finished 4th in the Premier League. So they'll lose a little more ground. And our pre-match discussion about the importance of being in the Champions League, although the likelihood is that 5th will be in the Champions League next season from the Premier League. Free kick then, Trippier to take this into the last 10 minutes, very nearly, just over 10 minutes to play. Trippier waiting to take this, there's the indication, curls it in, and it bounces all the way through to Vicario as he drops down to his left.
Richie gave himself a little round of applause there. It was such a perfect positional cross, just over the top of the heads of the centre-backs. It's bouncing round about the penalty spot, going out the right areas, and he's saying to himself, well, somebody should be in there. Nobody was.
Tottenham to the halfway line, but Bruno Guimaraes, and then Miley passing it forward towards Wilson, who's then caught by Romero, that looked like a nasty one. And a Newcastle player has gone to ground. I'm not sure if Bissouma has reacted there. Newcastle player beyond the crowd of players that are in there went to ground off the ball. Kieran Trippier's pointing to that, so clearly VAR will look at this. I'm not sure what happened, whether Bissouma, if it was Bissouma, just ran into him. Was it Richie who went down?
Yeah,
well, it's a yellow card for Romero.
Yeah, got back up quickly enough. Romero, again, not unlike Romero, was as robust as he could be in that situation.
Oh, that's a bad challenge.
They will look
on
at that
Wilson.
Game. They will look at that.
That could be a red card again for Romero.
It could.
But Pat, that's ridiculous. They're winning 3-0.
Do you know what? He's come on with his right foot, which is a possible red card and then followed through with his red. They will look at this, they should look at this, and you will not be shocked. I mean, it's hard to call what the referees are doing, these days, and make different decisions on it. But
I think Chris Kavanagh is being spoken to, and he's just looking over here.
Well, he's going to line it up as the 10 yards, so I think he's had his look. I think he's a very lucky buyer.
Could have been a red card, and he's already been sent off 4 times, so that could be a 5th red card. And then we saw Bruno Guimaraes and Bissouma, who were involved in a bit of afters as well, and Bruno Guimaraes put his head towards Bissouma.
Yeah. It's one of those ones where, the players aren't complaining about it, they're just saying, forget it, get on with it. There's no bad injuries happened out of it, we're just going to carry on. So that's what the players' attitude is towards it just now. So well done for the players on the pitch. They're not surrounding the referee, moaning at him, and he's going to get away with it.
Yeah. Tottenham 3, Newcastle 0, and Romero might have been very fortunate there. Free kick, Trippier's going to take this. In fact, he takes it square, and Hall will play it in left-footed. Ritchie on the chase into the full-back position. Ritchie with the cross, but Romero's underneath that to head it up in the air, and then it's caught by Vicario. Into the last 10 minutes we go, and suddenly there, after saying that the match had been played in such a great spirit, that happens.
Yes, it did, the spirit, but then they didn't keep it going.
Yeah.
It wasn't players saying, he must go off, and moaning and complaining and rolling about for ages. Look, ouch, out with sore, get on, get up with it, get up and get on with it. And the VAR's there to make a decision if it wants to make a decision.
As Udogie is bundled over on the halfway line, but that's not given us a free kick, rather surprisingly. Ritchie back to Longstaff, who is tackled and beaten, and then important challenge there by Ritchie, and then there's another free kick.
Well, that should be yellow as well, 100%. Without even a shadow of a doubt. There's no doubt that Trippier is a little bit of anger in there.
Kulusevski.
Yeah, he's wiped him out there. The ball was gone, and he just kept on going through there, and it's from the former winger's point of view, you know that tackle very well.
Oh yeah. The ball had gone, and Trippier came in. That was before the Ritchie challenge on the halfway line, and that, by the way, that means a suspension for Kieran Trippier for the accumulation of yellow cards. So Kieran Trippier will be suspended for next Saturday's match against Fulham at St James's Park.
The high-flying, high-scoring
Fulham with the 5 goals for Marco Silva's team today. Tottenham now moving again. It's played through to Son. Dubravka comes out. I think he caught Son. It's a penalty. Son was clever there. Little touch as Dubravka came out, and the Newcastle goalkeeper caught Son. And it's a penalty and a chance for a Tottenham 4th.
Well, lovely through ball there. Son gets onto it. His first touch was not good, but he made up for it by thinking, right, I've put it too far in front of me, I can't score a goal, all I need to do is get it out of the way of the goalkeeper and take the hit. It's a very minimal hit, it has to be said,
but
it is a hit. I think as a bit of his, I think there's enough.
I think there's enough. You're looking doubtful.
There's not a lot. Let's be fair, there's not a lot. They will have a look at it. Goalkeeper's not complaining. He knows there's been a touch, and that's enough. If you're going at pace, that's enough to bring you down.
Pace, yeah. And Son was clever. Just managed to get the ball, just deflect the ball away as the goalkeeper came out. Listen, he played for it, but he's got it.
He's deserved actually his opportunity today. He's been absolutely brilliant.
Well, he set up 2 of the goals. He set up 2 of the 3 goals. And now Son, the Tottenham captain, who's doubtful for this game, remember, and Ange Postecoglou is about to make another couple of changes, so this might well be his last action of the match. But it is Son from the penalty spot. This to wrap up another big win for Tottenham against Newcastle. On his right foot, Son from 4 yards away from the ball. Dubravka waits on the line, and up comes Son, a little delay, and then he buries it in the bottom corner. Dubravka diving the right way down to his right, but it was right in the corner. Son scores, Tottenham 4, Newcastle 0.
It just shows how much these fans love this just now. All their favourites are scoring. They wanted Son to score a goal today after a brilliant performance he has done, but it's going to sound a little bit harsh on Newcastle. They've worked hard, they've put the effort in, but Spurs have been far and away the better side. They actually have scored 4 goals. They could have scored lots more. They had a little period in the middle part of the second half where they made 4 or 5 gilt-edged chances, didn't take any of them. They have taken this one, 4-0, and it's probably the right scoreline so far.
Yeah, it's difficult to quibble with it, even those Newcastle fans who've had a terrible day. Travel problems on the East Coast main line. Tottenham making those changes now, and coming off is Brennan Johnson and Bissouma. So Johnson and Bissouma making way, and Oliver Skipp coming into the midfield, and Brian Hill on the right side going forward, the number 11 taking the place of Brennan Johnson.
I think understandably Trippier has been taken off as well, understandably, having that yellow card.
Yeah, and so Emil Kraft has come on as the Newcastle right back. So he is being, I think, preserved in this match because he's on the yellow card, but also being looked after because, of course, on Wednesday night he's another one of the key men for Newcastle, even given the events of the day today. And, you know, we mention again the fact that Son beat Trippier for the first 2 goals, but it was Son's brilliance as much as any defensive shortcoming.
Yeah, and it's just the deal, you come up against a really good player. We were talking before the start of the game about the system that would be played, you know, who would it be, and I really thought it's exactly what would happen. Son would go left, Richarlison would go central. It just seems the right fit. But what you need is someone like Son who's selfless, who's willing to give up that centre forward's position, who's got the ability to play as a wide player, as a 10 or a 9. He's got all of that, but he's also got the right team spirit as well, and that's why, you know, if you're going to look for the best player on the pitch today, most people are going to give it to Son.
Well, it was an interesting question today whether either of these teams were going to be able to bounce back to form, and it is unquestionably the home side that has done that. 4-0 they lead. Udogie, 2 for Richarlison, and the Son penalty. That is his 10th goal of the season, so Son hits double figures again for Spurs. His goal-scoring record is so consistent. Ball played out to Heel, the Spaniard involved for the first time, hair bobbing as he comes infield and passes it back to Udogie. Now to the left-hand side to Kulusevski. That's where he is now. Right-footed ball all the way to Skipp. Controls. Oh, should have scored, but Dubravka came out and blocked it on the edge of the 6-yard box.
It's another guilty-ish chance. How many have there been? Now, Newcastle have had a couple themselves, but to be fair, Spurs, had they got 6, maybe 7 in this game, would you have been completely shocked? And I echo what you say about Trippier. It's not that Newcastle have been absolutely dreadful. It's the fact Spurs have been a real joy to watch today. Yeah.
Absolutely. But what a chance for Skipp that was. And here he is again, the fair-haired midfielder playing it through. Son's in on his right foot, shoots right across goal and beyond the far post. And there's another one. Another chance for Tottenham.
Again, it underlines, you know, it is 4. It could and should be a lot more than that. Son's dummy to get the space there is world class, is out of this world. He's got a player right on him. It's Lascelles. He's a good defender. He has sold him. He has to buy a ticket to get back in again there. Gets himself in goal, doesn't quite get it on target.
So we'll look forward to hearing Ange Postecoglou. He'll be coming live onto 5 Live, all being well, during 6:06. So listen out for that during the phone-in on 5 Live. Eddie Howe as well, as Newcastle chase around after the ball, but Tottenham in complete control, leading by 4-0. Brian Hill now takes it away. He's actually running back into his own right back position, and Hill passes it to goalkeeper Vicario, who allows it to run onto his left foot, and then it's played out into the corner. And I think actually some of those Newcastle fans have already started on the journey back, which might be just as well, as Tottenham come forward again, and Skipp has space through the middle and finds Hill, and Hill now to the right, and Pedro Porro got it all wrong. Well, he nearly scored like Glenn Hoddle earlier.
To be fair, he's just done about 100-metre overlap at full pace to get there, and he just sort of ran out of juice by the time he got there. He needed to take a touch. He didn't have anything left in the tank there, and they had it over. But another sweeping move there, the length of the pitch by Spurs, and they've been horrible to play against. And I suppose what we'll enjoy now is the praise his son's going to get as he walks off.
Yeah, brilliant. Set up 2 goals. Scored one himself from the penalty spot, and he won the penalty for that as well. Maybe slightly questionably, but listen, I don't think you can blame him for going down. So Son is off for the final. We're in added time now at the end of the match. And Jamie Donnelly comes on, and you can hear how popular that is. Born in Northern Ireland, but he's an England under-19 international. Grew up in Colchester. This is his second appearance for the first team. Came on as a substitute last weekend at Manchester City in the 3-3 draw. So this is his home debut. He's very highly rated. He's been compared, cover your ears, with Harry Kane, which I think is asking a great deal.
Not fair.
Not fair at all, but he has been. And so great things are expected. Here's Wilson though at the other end, and Joe Linton scores for Newcastle. Well, Tottenham are claiming that maybe he was offside, but there's no flag, and Joe Linton has buried it, barely celebrated. That makes it 4-1.
Yeah, and then the ball comes out there to the right-hand side. They've kept on going, so well done to them. There is no celebration whatsoever. But how well done by Callum Wilson. You thought Wilson, very few opportunities. He's come on there, he's got a chance to strike from an angle, but he knows the better pass is the one inside. They're waiting to have this check just now to see if there's anything wrong with the goal. The Spurs players seem a wee bit confident that it's going to be chalked off because they've kicked the ball back to the 18-yard line.
They have.
I mean, it's difficult to see who was offside. I'm struggling to see.
Yeah, possible offside.
Yeah, but who is it offside? I don't really know.
I thought it was when the ball was initially played through. Because, I mean, Joe Linton wasn't in an offside position.
No, he didn't look at it at all.
And there we are. Yeah, the goal is given. The goal is given. And actually, there are some celebrations. In the Newcastle corner, some of the fans who have made it here, they've peeled off their shirts. Of course they have. Many of them just in short-sleeve shirts anyway, which actually returns us to Friday's drive and the fact of the day. Every Friday with Tony Livesey and Claire McDonnell. As Tottenham break away again, skip through the middle, Kulusevski. Spurs looking for another goal. Hill takes it down, so 4-1 the score now, and Hill with it on the right-hand side. Yes, the fact that I wasn't able to spot as Hill now approaches from the right-hand side, but his attempted ball in is cleared by Miley towards Wilson on the halfway line, but Davis wins that back. Davis through the middle, and now space is opening up all of the time. Lo Celso, so many changes have been made by Eddie Howe for Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes with the pass forward. This is for Wilson, but Hojbjerg, he misses it, then Hall, and Wilson was in an offside position. Yes, Tony came up with the fact that researchers at Newcastle Centre for Life carried out a scientific study to find out, as Brian Hill now takes it into the penalty area. Hill cuts back onto his left foot, and his pass in field is straight at Longstaff, and Newcastle clear.
I just love the fact that you've not been able to get this fact in, and I'm now talking over it to ruin your opportunity again.
Cheers, Pat. Thanks for that. Hojbjerg with the ball nearer the centre circle, and Lo Celso out to the left-hand side, comes back to Hojbjerg.
You've got a minute and a half, Jack.
And they could go forward any time here. Hojbjerg squared towards Porro, and then back into the Tottenham half. Yeah, scientific study to find out if it is true that Geordies have a genetic resistance to cold weather. Here is Bruno Guimaraes passing it forward now for Callum Wilson into the area, twists it, brings it back, still going, but Romero is able to put in the challenge and take it away from him, and Tottenham have it again. I mean, it's been like a training match since Joe Linton scored that last goal. I mean, the space is opening up all over the field, and if you got another couple of goals, it wouldn't be surprising, even though we are now in the 5th minute of added time, so the game is almost up. It's been up for a long time for Newcastle in this match, really. Tottenham have thoroughly deserved this, and for Newcastle, it equals their heaviest defeat of the season, another 3-goal defeat, second 3-goal defeat in the space of 4 days. 4-1 they're losing. Bruno Guimaraes through the middle, last seconds of the match, black seats appearing all around this sparkling stadium as Newcastle cross, and Wilson with a header in the middle, but down into the ground, and Vicario was able to save it and catch it to his right.
That's possibly the most surprising thing that's happened in the entire game today. The ball comes to Callum Wilson, 6 yards out to his head, and doesn't score.
And there it is, there's the final whistle. And after Tottenham's recent 5-match run without a win, after they've lost their last 3 home games, well, today, Ange Postecoglou's style, Ange Postecoglou's team have run back into form in great style. What a win. 4-1. Could have been many more, Pat Nevin.
Yeah, again, they're so enjoyable watching them play at their best, Spurs. It's been difficult for them recently. By the way, I'm talking about the good feeling in the game. There's something quite ugly going on in the pitch just now. It involves Callum Wilson and Dubravka, I think. I'm trying to see what's been said. Anyway, they've been dragged apart there. That's not a bad feeling. But that's the last thing that should be on your mind. This has been
teammates. Dubravka and Wilson.
I'm trying to see who it was there. There was so much dragging. It's difficult to see who it was. It was kind of having a go. Maybe it was actually. It may have been Vicario there who got there in front of him. Anyway, that should be ignored because it was a superb game. Spurs are back playing the way they expect them to play. They continue to play that way anyway when they weren't winning, and they are missing a lot of players. They are missing important players, but they're still playing that same way that Ange Postecoglou wants them to do it. On top of everything else, Spurs have been superb today. They've scored a whole bunch of goals, have made a whole bunch of chances as well, and they're doing it without arguably their most creative player in Maddison. They're a joy to watch, and they'll do this to a lot of teams this year.
Listen, as well, the thing we must mention here, Newcastle, Eddie Howe, the Newcastle players, the club will know the difficulties many of the Newcastle United supporters have had getting to this match today. Many weren't able to get here, and the Newcastle players, all of the staff, everyone involved, they've gone over into the far corner and are applauding their fans, who are actually dancing in the stands. They've just watched their team lose 4-1 and been beaten out of sight, and they are celebrating like they've won the match.
Well, that's real football fans for you, right? That's not people who turn up now and again and get some pictures taken. That's real football fans who care about their club. I know the most important thing is they have got games coming for the next week or so that are massive importance to the football club, and they know that their players will need them behind them, and they'll know that they need their confidence boosted. They have done that. They are doing that right now. That's real football fans, and well done Eddie Howe taking these players over to say that. Yeah,
it's been a tough day all round for Newcastle United and their followers, but Tottenham looking good. Destiny Udogie, 2 from Richarlison, Son penalty, that late goal for Joe Linton, and it's finished Tottenham 4, Newcastle 1.
Yeah, I was just looking there, Pat. I think that the problem at full time was between Joelinton and Pedro Porro, and then a few extra people got involved, including the Tottenham goalkeeper Vicario. But in the end, they obviously separated, and that's when the Newcastle players went away to their fans. I actually saw a couple of the Newcastle fans just sort of gesturing to the players, keep your chin up, because they recognise and they understand that whilst they are struggling away from home, so much good work has been done, so much progress has been achieved, and they're not going to let a few injuries change that.
Yeah, I mean, a number of things. If you're a Newcastle fan and you've been around for a few years,
yeah,
you know how hard it's been. You know the pain that they've had to suffer for so long. And they've seen little glimpses of, obviously they're in Champions League football just now. That's one thing, that they didn't have a sniff of for a long, long time. They've got a manager who's building this team. They know that there is a good team in there that's going to improve. So, yeah, they're going to stick by their team. And, that there's been times in the past when, fans get fed up with their team very quickly if there's 1 or 2 and a call for the manager's head. This phoning that we're going to have afterwards, it's going to be really interesting, isn't it? Because even though they were losing games, there was no way these Tottenham fans with any sense at all were going to call for Ange Postecoglou's head, and there is no way those Newcastle fans are going to complain at all about Eddie Howe. They get it. They're long and tough enough, and they're actually watching a lot of good football. There's going to be ups, there's going to be downs, but they accept it and they understand it, and that was really quite heartening. So kind of a bit emotional with Robbie Williams in the background.
Yes, it's
like that, really. But in actual fact, it's just good to see real football fans really loving their team, giving everything, and understanding it doesn't always go right. You need to back their team when it's hard.
Tottenham Hotspur fans know that just as well, of course, by the comparative standards of what football clubs have to struggle with. Obviously, there's a lot worse and a lot more difficult than happened to the really top clubs, but they've been waiting a long time to enjoy watching a team like this as well. Yeah, 08085 909 693 606 is on the way with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. You can get your calls in right now as the strains of Robbie Williams begin to die out at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Pat, just on Heung-min Son, so much talk about should he be playing wide, should he be playing through the middle. It almost doesn't matter when he is himself, and he was himself today. Absolute tour de force.
Yeah, I suppose Postecoglou looked at it and thought to himself, like, the obvious thing is to play someone up front. You could play, I've seen Richarlison play as one off the front as well. There's all sorts of ways, and Kulusevski can play both of the positions behind the striker as well. But he knew what was needed on the day, and part of it was Son saying to him, look, Trippier is one of the most important players, stop him going forward, make him go the other direction. And he did. And boy, he did in that first half. And it's that little dummy he's got. And you'll watch it match of day 2 tonight. He goes up, you know it's going to be that same step over the right foot and then go right. As I say it, I'm leaning one way and going the other way because you can't help doing it. You know it's going to happen, but it's so hard to stop him doing it. He was brilliant there. His work backwards was brilliant as well. And he gets the penalty that he deserves because by that time he's put through at centre forward. But the lovely thing about it is, because of his attitude, see if you ask him to play left wing or right wing or centre midfield, see if you ask him to play centre back, he'd do it for you.
Yeah.
He'd just say, yeah, I'll go and put a shift in there. And that's why football fans love Son Heung-min.
Pat, John, thank you both very much indeed. Pat Nevin, John Murray inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, where it finished Spurs 4, Newcastle United 1. So Tottenham are 5th in the Premier League on 30 points. Everybody's played 16 games, so they are 3 behind Manchester City, who are 4th after their win at Luton. Then Aston Villa in 3rd on 35. Arsenal 2nd on 36. Liverpool top of the pile on 37. Other scores in the Premier League today: Everton victorious over Chelsea this afternoon by 2-0. Fulham put 5 past West Ham United, and it was Luton 1, Manchester City 2. Earlier, Kilmarnock beat Celtic by 2-1 as well. So you can get your calls in on all of those things. 08085 909 693 606 follows the latest news on 5 Live with Joe Hornby.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.